Futures back to flat here this morning as we get going on a brand new week, coming off 4 straight to the upside for all 3 U.S. indexes. We'll see if we can't continue that move higher. A little bit quiet on all fronts this morning as far as news is concerned and individual catalysts. That said, we do have a ton of economic data coming up, not only this morning, but throughout the remainder of the week. We'll get GDP reading, we'll get a PCE reading later in the week, and also a ton of Fed speakers as well to be aware of coming up starting on Tuesday. We'll get just a long list of Fed speakers to deal with tomorrow and Wednesday as well. There's that Q2 estimate GDP reading coming up at 8:30 on Wednesday. A little bit of housing data this morning. New home sales at 10 o'clock. We'll get some bill auctions later in the afternoon as well. A number of things moving around here this morning as we get going to kick things off in a brand new week. Tesla, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about Amazon. Some of the e-commerce names specifically moving around here. Higher pre-market coming off Black Friday, obviously last week, and then Cyber Monday is here. Get out your credit cards, I guess, and get ready. It's Monday, November 27th, 2023. Tradertv.live starts now. Yeah, there's Micron. There was a couple of analyst moves on MU this morning, trading higher, but little to no volume at this point. Going back to that Black Friday note, Shopify coming out this morning saying that there was 4.2 million worth of purchases per minute.
Wow. In
the US and the UK on Black Friday. And that's up 22% over last year. 4.2 million a minute on Friday.
You wouldn't feel like that there's $1 trillion worth of credit card debt right there.
No, it's not a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I was at the mall on the weekend and it was packed over here. So anecdotally, I can just tell you what I observed. Yeah, Brendo, look, they're looking at decided spending increases year over year, even for online sales. We talked about how 2022 was kind of the last good year for online sales. Not so much. Supposed to be up 7.5% year over year for the Cyber Monday. For Black Friday, and 6.1% for Cyber Monday. So we'll have to see what the final numbers look like.
Yeah, and it's worth noting as well. I mean, even in this country now, the Black Friday holidays always run into the next week, and sometimes for a week or two, even beyond that. So it's not over by any stretch of the imagination. But how's your weekend though? Good?
It was too short.
Yeah, I feel the same. It's one of those Mondays around here. It's snowing outside as well.
Yep, and it's going to be for the rest of the week too. So
yeah. Sean was smart. He took today off. So Sean enjoying a nice long weekend. Obi's back with us. Good morning, guys.
Good morning. And okay, it was a fantastic weekend with one exception, so we'll just get that out of the way. However, why are you already hitting the fail? I haven't said anything yet, Sharif. It's like that, eh? It's going to be a long day, Sharif, and we got a lot of time for some payback. But look, if you're looking at any kind of retail name, that's where it's going to be at. Amazon, Firm, Shopify. You just even say that you say Amazon and Obi just kind of perks up a little bit there, which you should. I mean, that's
I told you I started getting alerts for Amazon at like 6 a.m., 5:30 a.m. and I was like, what's going on? Definitely on watch.
You get alerts for Amazon in your sleep, as far as I'm concerned. This guy is the Amazon whisperer, to be sure. I got to ask you if you bought anything on Black Friday or.
I was looking for a jacket. I didn't really find a nice one or like one that I like. I visited a few places, but yeah, nothing too crazy. I'm not really a big shopper there.
Fair enough.
How about you? Anything crazy? Anything interesting?
Well, it's interesting. I bought one thing for Black Friday, and it's exactly what I told you guys I was going to buy last week. I got that Burr coffee grinder, and I can't even make this up. Look, whatever. The only brand I know Cuisinart, so I know the brand. So I'm like, whatever. I want specifically. It's a type of coffee grinder called the Burr. Burr grinder, yada yada. You guys can look it up. But I'm telling you, that first cup on Saturday morning was absolute gold. It was like liquid gold. I could taste the difference. I was so happy with it. So that was my purchase. I'll probably look for a few things Cyber Monday. There's nothing we really desperately needed, so I don't know how crazy I'm going to be, but at least a lot of people apparently were spending that cash.
Yeah.
Because when you look at these numbers across the board, it's impressive. I mean, Shopify 22% year over year, and we'll get into all this obviously, but buy now, pay later was 47% up from last year. So people are finding the money one way or another. The consumer ain't dead, at least not yet.
A bit of a downtick here for the overall market. There was a volume alert that went off there as well. I'm not seeing much, but anyways, we'll keep our eye out. Back to basically flat here, as we said, to start the week off. But 4 in a row, if you hadn't checked, a daily chart for a weekly chart, going back to last week for the SPY, the NASDAQ, and the Dow, all higher once again to kick things off. This was going back to Friday, so 0.89 for the NASDAQ. This is a weekly performance. Exactly, that's rare, exactly 1% for the S&P 500 on the week last week. 1.27 for the Dow, the Russell about 0.5% to the upside. So this slow kind of melt higher continues for the overall market. I mean, we've been sitting here saying, you know, it's been kind of a wait and see approach over the past couple of weeks. We get all of these events that come through. Nothing seems to change at this point. Earnings season has come and gone. There's been some significant inflation-related data. We got the last Fed meeting. Nothing seems to have changed. What is going to be the thing that breaks or continues this rally?
If I knew that, I wouldn't be working over here.
Exactly.
But, yeah, no, good question. Great question, Brendo. I'm keeping my eye on yields today. The 10-year is down about 0.75 of a percentage point. We saw last week how poorly it did, and it made lows essentially since September, coming into that 4.3 area. The 2-year faring a bit better here at 4.8. We'll have to wait and see. Personally, I'll be keeping my eye on housing starts. I'm invested in Caterpillar, so I've been looking to see how new home sales are going to do. We're going to get that data point later on today. We'll have to wait and see, Brenda, how we do.
Yeah, as far as resale goes, I know, just around here, even in my neighborhood anyways, there's been a lot of signs and not much movement. I mean, typically this is a bit of a slow time of the year for real estate anyway, but yeah, we'll see what that number brings when it comes out. But I wanted to mention Coinbase here. A bit of a gap to the downside this morning for Coin after a huge move into the weekend last week. 115 ended up being a bit of a sticking point for it. The CEO comes out over the weekend saying now that this Binance mess, if you want to call it that, has been seemingly wrapped up or come to some sort of a conclusion, the industry can now move forward. That said, we are seeing a bit of a downtick here this morning. Yeah,
and he's championing regulation in the industry because he knows once regulation comes in, bigger money is going to start flowing in into the crypto industry. In general, he was asked, he was on CNBC earlier this morning. He's in England at the moment, meeting with Rishi Sunak and talking about digital currencies. But he was asked by a reporter how he felt about his interactions with the SEC and whether he's being pushed out of the United States. He said no, they're continuing to invest in their U.S. operations, and the fact that he's expanding overseas is really not a comment on that. So I'll have to see how Coinbase does on the day.
Yeah, and remember, there's still some sort of resolution to come between the SEC and Coinbase at some point anyway. 37,000 seeming to be a bit of a point anyways, back and forth resistance and support for Bitcoin to start the week. But most of these equities related downside today a little bit.
Yeah, and I think partly you are getting a pullback, and I'd say a little bit of a rejection at 38,000, at least on the lower time frame, right? Like this is an hourly chart for Bitcoin. So understandably, if I were to pull up like a daily or weekly on it, you would see a little bit more bullish of a pattern, and this is actually a bullish pattern. But the last thing that happened was failing that 38,000 break and then pulling back underneath. So the first time it rejected this level before the break, there was a dip right under 37,000 that hold. That's where we are right now. If this breaks down and you get another push into that 35.8, 35.6 level, which was support, obviously if you're trading this, you know where the support is, but if you break that down, then you start thinking about, I don't care what the CEO says if you just rejected the big level on the weekly, or the daily and the weekly of Coin. which would have been trying to take out this 115. We did on Friday and then pulled right back underneath the close at 115.5. So you made a fresh high and then you came right back in there. Closed 115.5, and then there was some trading in the aftermarket. Obviously you're going to see a little bit of that. That was on ridiculously light volume, but it looks like it's a resistance level till it's not. And if we don't hold on to 37,000 here, then I think underneath 115, Coinbase just looks like a short. Now you can look at Riot and Mara, whichever one piques your interest. You would have seen a very similar pattern, but it's Coinbase that has my eye at this 115 level. Just make sure you're keeping your eye on BTC. Right? As long as we hold underneath that 37, wait for that support to come in if you're looking for longs, or wait for 37 to reestablish itself and see the buyers come back in. At that point, I would be looking for some longs in crypto. But until then, I'm looking for shorts. I need it to be underneath 37,000 on Bitcoin. And as long as we're underneath 115, I'm looking short on Coinbase with those two conditions.
Yeah, I think with that bit of a pullback, we've been talking about how it comes into this trend right here, and yeah, it definitely has room to go underneath that 37. So yeah, definitely going to be watching Mara. Mara was breaking out of like a multi-time frame. So is Coinbase. Again, a lot of these crypto-related names are breaking through some of these multi-week, multi-month highs as well, and a little bit of a healthy pullback potential in store today, with Bitcoin pulling back into its support as well.
All right, there's all of these e-commerce related stocks that we can have a look at this morning as well. Affirm was one of those. Platform needs to be refreshed apparently, but Affirm moving around here, the buy now, pay later type names, benefiting possibly from not only Black Friday, but Cyber Monday. There's Affirm up to 27.30 once again. One of those days where you're going to have to really kind of pick and choose your spots, I think, because we're seeing this lower volume once again continue after last week was more of the same. So, I mean, Affirm one of those, Amazon benefiting from this a little bit to the upside. I mean, even Walmart getting an uptick this morning as far as retailers are concerned. A little bit of strength so far.
Yeah, Brendo, Adobe, I'm not sure why they're reporting it, but they're reporting the buy now, pay later is expected to see usage hit all-time high today on Cyber Monday, contributing about $782 million in online spend. That'll be an increase of 18.8% year over year for the buy now, pay later services. It's an interesting look because as consumers rack up more credit card debt, and that's going to be the interest on that's going to be in the region of 20% and north. They'll be looking to these no interest loans, shorter term loans, perhaps to take a little bit of pressure off their credit card statements. So we'll have to see how these ones do in the near future.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to look at the entire thing, XRT, an ETF that'll kind of show you the entire group here. But I mean, this note just on the sector in general, talking about sales surging once again as well. As you were saying, 9.8 billion on Friday, expected to be 12 coming up today, 12 billion that is. But this is what we were mentioning, Affirm, Apple, Square, PayPal, all the payment type companies going to benefit or potentially set to benefit from this as well. Yeah, there it is, 12 billion, up 5.5% year over year expected today for Cyber Monday. So definitely the space to be in today as far as strength, guys.
A shout out to Raphael in the chat. I like this one. Buy now, short it later. I mean, that feels about right for what's happening with specifically Affirm here. Buy now, pay later. For anyone that doesn't get that, I think it's pretty obvious. But 27. Hey, like this is just a big level. This daily chart, I kind of made it so you could see what it's done on the year. Talk about a good year for Affirm. Now, if I zoom further out, you guys have an understanding of how ugly the chart looks for Affirm, but we can make it look nice here with a double bottom to start the year and then a double top break at a 20. You can see where I get all the levels from, right? It's like, there's a double top at that 20 level. You break that out in that 23 high. Now 27. 27 formed itself after this last little move in the last couple of weeks. And as long as it's above this on the daily, I think I'm just looking for, maybe there's a short at some point, but when I zoom in a little bit further out, like it's pretty clear sailing. 27 also goes back into 2022. That was a pretty key high. And if you go to the daily chart, even further back, you get like 31 to 32, next level up. So short later would mean if it gets above 30, yes, for sure. I mean, I'd short that price if it gets up there. That's a big level on the daily chart. But if it's above 27 even, I'm looking long first, and I'm willing to be there on the dip, at least initially at the open. And if we can't hold on, I take a couple of swings at this level as long as it's trying to hold above 27. If it's a stair step to the upside, then I want to be joining trend after the open on dips. If there's room on that daily to get to 30 to 31, Affirm is a stock that's done double digits plenty of times when it has a catalyst, when it hasn't had much of a catalyst as well. So, it's making that breakout here. It doesn't mean it has to continue, but that is a place where I am looking to join. I'm looking to join when you're making a break that has double-digit potential on the day trade, and Affirm does give that to you.
Yeah, definitely some volume going into that move as well. I pulled up the day chart when you mentioned it right there. Something interesting to note. Again, we're breaking past earnings reaction high that we just had last week. Take a look at this 15 right here. So earnings reaction right there, kind of day one high is being broken today. I think that's something interesting to note. And if you look a little bit further back, their last earnings, this significant volume candle and this strong green bar on the daily, we've only held those prices, and now we're continuing to push back up through the next earnings price there. So definitely some room to go. Nice little base formed on underneath these 20s, but yeah, definitely a firm multi-month breakout happening.
All right, here's Lucid. Let's go to EV land. The grind lower here for Lucid continuing on this. Needham with a downgrade this morning on Lucid to hold. I thought I saw neutral earlier, but anyways. Oh, from buy to hold for Needham. Price target cut coming through with this as well. Not a lot of volume here today, but it's worth noting this 4 to 420 area, obviously, for Lucid ending up being a bit of a sticking point.
Yeah, Chris Pierce, the analyst at Needham, basically saying our Lucid downgrade stems from demand weariness, and that probably has a lot to do with interest rates like Elon was talking about on the call with Tesla last time, going on to say, despite our bullishness on their technology advantage versus peers and a positive view on their recently unveiled Gravity SUV, you'll recall the Gravity SUV got unveiled a little while ago, about a 440-mile range, and it's supposed to start around 80 grand, Brendo. A lot better than their 300,000 Lucid Air.
It looks great, too.
Yeah, it's a good-looking car, man. How can you not agree with that? That's a beautiful car.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, can they actually make them and sell them? That's as it continues to be the problem here.
Needham downgrades Lucid, but look, I haven't said anything yet, but the only downgrade necessary is I'm slapping a downgrade on the NFL officials. Because first of all, I know what a horse collar tackle, I wasn't going to do this, but now I'm just going to do it. I know what a horse collar tackle looks like, okay? Like it's in the rule book. And I'm pretty sure if I was standing 5 feet in front or behind when it happened right in front of my face, I wouldn't be worried about calling a BS penalty on the Bills in that situation. I would be calling the horse collar that's in front of my face. I also know what holding looks like. I know what a late hit looks like. And I know what it means when one team gets 10 penalties in the first half and the other team gets 1, and one of them is a team that the league wants to be in the Super Bowl. So I understand it. I feel it. Anyone that's watching, and I'll tell you this right now, if you're a Miami fan, you feel the same way about the officials against Philly. If you are a fan of any other team in the NFL, you've seen it week in, week out, Philly gets the calls. It is what it is. That being said, it's a stock trading show. I had to say it. It's a horse collar. Like, give me a break. Now, the Bills, my team, they found ways to lose that game. So it is what it is. Should it have not gone to overtime? Should they have had a bigger lead in the first half? Absolutely. But the crazy thing is, despite that disadvantage, the game was in their hands. The game was in their hands in the second half, and they blew it. The game was in their hands in overtime, and they blew it. So that's what makes it extra tough. It's like it probably shouldn't have been to that spot, but no questions asked. They had a chance to win a game and win it in overtime with a completion. And they messed it up, and they took ownership, and I can respect that. I saw Gabe Davis, and he's like, should you guys have been able to connect on that pass? Yep. We should have been able to have the same read. He just owned up to it, and that's what you got to do in trading. You got to be able to own up to it as well, but the officials suck. Lucid, It's nasty. You can do whatever you want, upgrade, downgrade. Does it really matter at this particular point? I just feel like the entire group of EVs right now are in this gigantic penalty box, and you're waiting for someone to come in and start buying the stock. So it's a short till it's not, but the one thing that's happening in Lucid, it's hard to tell when I do this chart, but when you zoom in a little bit, okay, so I'm not saying that a bid is coming into this, but the last time it made a consolidation like this, flat for a few days in a row or a week off a level, it did make a nice break. And it wiped out underneath 4 and is now holding $4. So as a trader, like when I see this, my first thought is, okay, it's not even getting to 4 and it's holding 410. So since regaining the $4 level, it's just holding 410 here. That gives you a potential trade. Now, if you're into scalp trading, then something along the lines of just go long in the low teens, anything under 420, start looking for long, stop out under 410. That's a reasonable trade. Now, that's not for everybody. I tend to think that's low-hanging fruit because you can risk 3 or 4 cents. If the stock goes to 440, great, but if it goes to 420, that's just fine. So that's what I think Lucid gives you. Anything outside of that, I got to see it move out of the range. If it's breaking 450, fine. Be a joiner above 450. If it's breaking underneath that $4 level, you want to look short, fine, look short there. But as long as it's showing you this from last week at 410, there's only one trade that I'm looking for at that open. Show me any kind of a bounce at that level, which it's done, shows you bounce, just start going long. Maybe you only get a scalp trade. Here you get to the 425 level. Show the bottom, get long. Now, there was an opportunity for it to go all the way 440 and you almost had a 10% move. You got 7 or 8% move. It's given you that a couple times. But sometimes it's also just a 5 to 10% move. So that's what Lucid's going to give me, upgrade or downgrade. It's a pretty obvious level. And if you're trading this stock, it's impossible not to see this 410.
Yeah, Lucid definitely, that new vehicle looking quite nice. Kind of different from some of the other vehicles that we've been seeing. Not as boxy, for sure. Very, very nice, nice design there. Again, Lucid quite beaten down off of what its former glory. Let's call it. But yeah, maybe potentially creating a little bit of a base there, poised to catch maybe a little bit of a bid there. You can see that we attempted to break through this $4 mark there. Can't really get too far, and then comes right back in. But yeah, still pretty much dominantly sideways there. But it seems like this range that it's forming could definitely be something there, and giving us opportunities pretty much every day for the past couple of weeks, it would seem.
All right, let's get some analyst moves to kick things off on a Monday. Dara has that over at the screen.
Some interesting moves here, including Mondelez with an upgrade from RBC Capital Markets, trading a little bit higher right now because of this. We also have Teva with an upgrade from UBS. Pinterest with an upgrade from New Street, and Pult Group with an upgrade from Jefferies Financial. For downgrades, we have Foot Locker trading a little bit to the downside after a downgrade from Citigroup. They have earnings as well coming up, so keep an eye on this one. We also have Lucid with a downgrade from NIDA, and this one was mentioned earlier today. We also have CN with a Deutsche Bank downgrade, and last but not least, GE Healthcare trading down about over 3% after a UBS downgrade, guys.
Thank you very much there. Shout out to Bonkzilla in the chat for the first time we talk about cars a lot. Let me just fix my mic here. We talk about cars a lot, but it's been maybe once or twice in the 3 years we've been on YouTube that I've heard someone reference the Canyonero from The Simpsons. I'm just waiting for a car company to be like, hey, let's just lean in and call something the Canyonero and pretend. And if you've never watched The Simpsons or seen that episode, basically Homer gets to design a car. It's maybe the ugliest piece of you-know-what that you could find out there, but it is absolutely legendary. I love that episode. The commercial that goes with it is where it's at. Pinterest is the one name on that list that at least it gives you something. I mean, we already talked about Lucid, right? So at least it gives you something in terms of a potential level to work off of. Now, Pinterest will do this. Like, look at the sideways action, ignore those wicks because they suck. This is 31 support. This is $32.50. Like, you just sit there for a week or two on Lucid, and it shows you a top and a bottom, and it shows you a range. This is how you have to be patient when you're trading. It doesn't do a ton of volume, but if it breaks 32.50 upside, great. You're joining out there. If it gets to 31, fine. But trading anything else in the middle, trade those key levels. It's shown you that 32.5. I think I've been patiently waiting for this stock to make a secondary breakout. Like it did a nice little dip rip, like down here underneath 25, and then went, and then it broke out on the daily, and it's been the slowest breakout you've ever seen. But the previous top is the support at 31. So technically it's great. Just needs to take that second step and break 32.5. Maybe it gets explosive like it did before, but at least that's a big, big level within stone's throw today. It's up 1.5%. It essentially needs another 1% to break that level to the upside. So this is like an on-watch level all week, and the 31 levels it's on watch until you trade off that again. Like, this is the kind of stock you put on your back burner because you like support and resistance levels and big levels on dailies, but you're not sitting there trying to trade it every single day. Just trade it when it gives you that level and when it gives you that break. And if you wait patiently for it, you're going to get rewarded. When it broke out this 29, it was a good day of trade. It's that simple. When it regained the 25 level, like wick under, when it regained the 25, that's another good opportunity for a bit of a trend trade. Now the next step is 32.5 breaking for pins.
Yeah, I like that look. That hold above those earnings highs and those gradual higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, definitely setting up for that pullback. But again, we talked about this a little bit earlier, Neil. Kind of how can we capitalize this on the daily? Yeah, it doesn't really give you too many chances, but like the best move is probably when it comes back in. Into this support, kind of a multi-week support down here. Sure, it can elevate off of it, but the best times it seems like as if when it comes right back into this overall dominant trend post earnings reaction there.
It's okay. He's running away. Alibaba, I wanted to mention Baba here real quick. Chinese ADRs across the board, downside today. There was an individual note on Alibaba. The quantum computing laboratory and research arm of their digital business is going to be shelved, and they're actually going to donate it to a local university, the lab, and I guess all the technicians that come with that. So, I mean, good luck for the company for doing that. But on top of that, we had some manufacturing data out overnight in China that did miss. Came in a little bit light, so Chinese ADR is under a little bit of pressure here today.
Yeah, and the property sector continues to be a drag on the Chinese economy in general, and that had an effect overnight as well. But yeah, to build on what Brenda was talking about with respect to the BABA headline, they are going to donate all that to the, I believe, the Huanzhou, I can't say it, anyway, university there. It's going to cost 30 people their jobs there at Alibaba. The move is part of an overall restructuring program headed by Joseph Tsai and Eddie Wu, who are close allies of Jack Ma. And, come a little late because we saw Meta, their year of efficiency a year ago, figured, these Chinese ADRs would follow suit about a year later, though.
Yeah, we all remember what happened going back a week or so ago on earnings day for Alibaba. Not good at all. This is a pretty disappointing bounce here if you're in this whatsoever. Heavy selling off of earnings as well, but back downside here today, guys, for Baba.
You guys, if you'd finished that like 30 seconds sooner, you would have got a chance to see Ram fixing my mic. It's like it wouldn't stay in place. It's like sliding around everywhere, and she has this like magic magnet thing. Yeah, so like instead of a clip, there's no clip on it now. Like it's like this magnet that she put underneath. And then now it just kind of sits there. You can't really see. Look at that. It just sort of sticks there. That's a genius. Now, I wouldn't have thought of it. So we're always trying to make things a little bit better here. And I was fumbling with it to try to make sure the sound was good and all that nonsense. And it was just frustrating with this shirt, which I'm probably never going to wear again because I hate it all of a sudden. If you've been in Alibaba stock, maybe you've hated it because look, it's a frustrating stock. Every time you think it's about to bounce, had a great level at the 80 level, and now it's broken that down. It's in a downward trend. It's a slight sloping downward trend, and maybe you're showing signs of, maybe you're showing signs of breaking it. It needs to get back above 80 before I'm bullish on it. That previous support level needs to hold. It needs to come right back in. Essentially, you broke that 80 down, got to 75, and on the way back up, rejected 80. Well, that's not good. But that's not what you're looking for. You want to make that bounce off the wipeout bottom. You want to get back to 80, hold higher lows, and then break out 80. That's what a bullish pattern would look like. Bearish means doing the opposite, which is get back to 80 and fall. So until this gets higher, it's in the penalty box for me. Now I look at PDD, and there's a reason every single time I talk about Alibaba for the last year, I've been pointing out that PDD is a stronger looking chart. Like one stock is in a bull pattern and one stock is in a bear. Like it's just, like you can invest in ETFs or do whatever, do you. But when I see two related names, one of which is strong and the other one is weak, like one, you look for opportunities to go long, and until proven otherwise, I think you look for opportunities to fade Alibaba. Pinduoduo still on that upward channel, just broke another top here, and looks like it has a triple top or double top at 120 that it's trying to break out. And not to beat a dead horse or anything, but Alibaba in that same time made a high and then rejected it, right? Like it made a high and has been going low ever since. Well, that's exactly the moment at which Pinduoduo decided to continue going. So when you are trading, and this goes, it's up to anybody to have their own strategy and develop their own style. However, I always believe you zoom out and get an idea, regardless of your time frame, of what the stock is doing and what the general feeling is on the stock. And the general feeling on this stock has been a sell. It's found good support levels that you can day trade off of, no questions asked. But since it broke 80, it hasn't really found one of those. Like you can see when it finds some support, it'll stick there for a while, give you some bounces. Stick there for a while, give you some bounces. You might find these little support levels. It hasn't found one since it broke 80. Maybe it is 75, but let it get there and retest it first, or let it get back above 80. I'm not messing around with that one. If I'm catching a falling knife, it's going to be on, well, okay, it'll probably be NEO at $7, but just to go back to that chart, every time we talk Chinese ADRs, I got to pull up the NEO chart, because if you're tuning in for the first time, NEO at 7 is going to be a thing. It's just a matter of us actually getting to 7 again. And you can see it's a bit of a flat bottom break potential, bounce, big support level. I can't remember the last time that a level just kept slowly getting in there, almost there, not quite. When it breaks, I'm there. If it bounces, I'm also there. This is I'm long in front, I'm reversing underneath kind of level. I'm trading that both directions. I have no issues flipping from long to short if I see NEO at that $7 level. But Alibaba, if you're not breaking out at 80, yikes and yuck.
Yeah, I definitely, I agree with that 80, kind of a bit of an over-under there. I do have some of these levels marked from long before, and yeah, some resistance levels, some support levels, and we did break below a little bit of support there in and around that 80, 81.50, give or take a few points, right? But we have visited lower prices earlier last year in 2020 down here just before the beginning of the year, and it seems like we're kind of headed right back towards those levels. So yeah, definitely reasons to kind of sell there, as we have negated pretty much all year's prices there, kind of testing new lows of the year here over the past week or so here on BABA. So definitely, I think the selling pressure is definitely in control all year long overall.
All right, let's get into everything else you need to know on a Monday. Sharif's going to kick things off with a look at the futures.
Yeah, Brendo, we close out at 45.69, just a smidge below that 45.70. We're still consolidating sideways at that resistance zone from mid-September, and we're still below that 4,600 area that we topped out at in late October, early September. Very consolidative the last few days. The overnight low is that 45.52. Look for support at that 45.50 area, and then look for resistance at that 45.75, the area we couldn't break overnight.
All right, if you haven't done so yet, make sure you grab that. It's super easy. Scan that QR code or go to watchlist.tradertv.live, enter your email address, and then it just appears every single day for free right in your inbox. Retailers, e-commerce stocks, top of the list this morning. Coming off of not only Black Friday, but ahead of what is to come today. If you missed it or just joining us a little bit late this morning, $12.5 billion expected to be spent today on Cyber Monday with deal chasers. Here's Amazon. Daily chart looks great. And they've also officially now surpassed UPS, FedEx, and USPS, I was reading this morning, for U.S. parcel delivery and volume. So I think people have finally made the switch to Amazon officially.
Yeah, and they have that partnership with the firm. So if you're able to kind of get on that, you're able to kind of kick the can down the road and not have to put it on your credit card. Firm's usage up 18.8% year over year. Friday was no slouch too. Brendo talking about the $12.5 billion that's going to be spent today. Friday, very nicely, $9.8 billion spent. That's a 7.5% increase year over year. MasterCard also coming out and saying that they saw transactions increase over the weekend by 2.5% compared to last year. So despite the rumors of the consumers being squeezed, people are still spending, Brendan.
Yeah, definitely. Market day lows here. Just everyone be aware. A little bit of selling pressure coming back in 0.2 for both the NASDAQ and the S&P. A bit of a wall if you go out to what happened last week. I mean, Friday half day, so not much to look at. But Thursday, a bit of a wall forming here, 147.5 for Amazon.
So you know who likes to talk a little bit about Amazon? I don't know.
Who?
I don't know. You tell me.
I don't know.
Well, obviously, I'll get my 2 cents in here, but this has been Obi's baby. I don't think it's that complicated today. Now, first things first, there was if you're not involved in the chat in the morning in our show before we go live, and you are interested in finding setups or just sort of talking shop, I suggest it's a good thing to do. It is a subscribers only chat, so you do have to be a sub to be in the chat. However, I'm going to call, I forget who said this, but someone said it was a shark pattern forming, a bearish shark pattern on the Amazon weekly chart. So whomever said that, I forget exactly who it was. I have no idea what that means. I'm sure there's something about like a fin and like a rejection, like maybe like the top is like some kind of a fin somewhere. And I don't know, I don't see it. But what I do see on the weekly is look at the 150. It's like the 140. It's like 144 to 150 previously on this weekly chart, right? You can see it holding support down there. When it finally broke for good, look at what happened when it broke for good. Resistance showed right back at that 147. Resistance at that 147. We're now clearing that out. We're at 148 right now. So yes, 150 is a psychological level, and 150 was pretty big before when you look at that weekly. But you're now in a bullish-looking move. It's back above the 50. It's back above the 200. It's got a strong positive catalyst. Obviously, with the sales that just happened, it's been strong in general because the Mag 7 have been amazing, all that good stuff. And you are above that 147. So fast forward to where we're at right now. Even with it pulling back in, I just want to be looking long. The best part is it closed just underneath that 147 level. So I do think I'm looking for dip buys on Amazon until it has to almost go red. And I'm not thinking about short. If it gets to 150, sure. But I just want to be a patient buyer of Amazon and a trend buyer above those levels because it's got room to 150 today. And even if it breaks 150, that's a pretty loose level up there in any regard. So a lot of the retailers are going to have setups today, but Amazon through this level on the daily, it's hard not to be looking for some kind of a push. When I see things break out on the daily chart, I tend to want to be long in front of that level until I see it fail or it reaches another big level to the upside.
Yeah, so like I mentioned before, I started getting alerts for Amazon quite early there. As soon as I woke up, I was like, okay, there's some alerts there for Amazon. In play for sure, take a look at the R-vol happening here. Significant R-vol, all these candles above 2x R-vol right there, and we're kind of creeping up past some of these highs we've been making over the past couple of weeks, right? So definitely on watch today, strong catalyst. That 150, just knocking on the door of that 150, but take a look at this larger time frame here on the hourly right there, some strong selling that came in just underneath in and around this 148. So we're gonna have to get past this 148 to kind of continue there. But again, we've been coming up since earnings. So this is a breakout kind of continuation trend pattern that's been happening since earnings, which I think makes it even stronger. We've already gotten past this 145. That 150 definitely looking like it's in the stars.
Well, so much for 16,000. So much for the 16,000 level. Hold on to your butts. No, I'm just kidding. But we're now at 15.98. The NASDAQ just kind of, not a huge move. We're only a quarter percent down, but you are getting a bit of a dip. And let's not forget, that was a pretty big psychological level, that 16K. It was good when we broke it out. You still probably some support down underneath here, but worth mentioning that we just rejected that 16. Want to be very patient buying anything into the open here.
All right, a little one moving around. THAR, 60% to the upside here. I was just commenting to Sharif. One of those reverse splits, one of the first times I've ever seen them actually continue. This one does have a positive headline this morning. So their lead drug trial came out on the upside, so better than expected results on that for THAR, but went 1 for 25 going back to last week. And then here we are back to $5 this morning, rejecting that right now with the downtick in the overall market, but worth a look for that THAR. Let's talk Affirm. Same catalyst really, coming off Black Friday and then again on Cyber Monday, a whole bunch of people doing a whole bunch of shopping. And as you were mentioning, an option to not have to pay hefty credit card interest rates.
Yeah, you're looking at minimum 20% right now on your credit card, if not higher. I've been hearing anecdotally about rates in the 30% area. Affirm, you get free interest. There's no interest. The only way that they make money off the actual buyer is if you miss payments. There are heavy administrative fees that you have to pay. Otherwise, they're making their money from the merchant with the cost splitting. But should we go over Shopify or?
Yeah, if you want, go for it.
So Shopify was interesting, the Canadian company. But yeah, gross merchandise volume, Brendo, up a big 22% year over year. Essentially what they're looking for there is more volume, more merchandise to move in the neighborhood of about $4.1 billion. In addition to that, the average order value was also up substantially year over year, which is good growth in 2023 compared to 2022. This is a company, that downsized significantly because they kind of overplayed their hand with respect to how they would come out the other side of the pandemic. Looks like they're doing a little bit better now.
Yeah, as we said when we came on this morning, crazy number, 4.2 million a minute at the peak being processed on Friday. So let's see what happens today.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot. 4.2 million per minute. Just sometimes the staggering thing is, we talk about these numbers all the time. You can get numb to them, but really, if you were to do the same kind of metrics in terms of cash generated, I don't know, just throw Microsoft or something. Find one of those types of company that just prints cash, or one of the old names, and you'd probably be ridiculously surprised. So it's good. There's no question about it. But let's also remember that when you're trading, we just finished talking about breakouts, right? Amazon breaking out on the daily. Affirm breaking out on the daily, Shopify breaking out on the daily. All three of these names are trying to clear out, or have cleared, at least for now, big levels on the daily chart. Now the cautionary tale would be, well, what do you think happens if they all fail this top break? If we open up and Affirm fails underneath 27, and Amazon fails underneath 147, and Shopify breaks down below 71.5. Well, then everybody that's in this trade, there's probably people that are long 2, 3 of these, looking for the same kind of continuation. That becomes a pretty big shakeout. It becomes a sell the news type of event, in which case you could be trapped at the top. When you're taking a breakout trade, it is what it is. You're buying at the top, so you understand that you can get trapped at the top. Just make sure you have an out. If this does not hold 71.5 at the open, then I don't want any piece of it. And if it stops me out and sets up again above that level, then I will get back in. But Shop was the one that had gapped a little bit further from where I wanted this long. If this consolidation here ends up, it's $1 away from the 71.5 right now, Shopify. So if it ends up holding these pre-market bottoms $1 higher, then I just need to adjust my out and look for other trades in front of it, which could be the pre-market bottom hold at 72.5. If it ends up breaking out the top, maybe I look for longs off 73 in a stair-step pattern to the upside. Just apply a different setup for it. It could be a false bottom break at the open, a 930 false bottom break, and then regain the pre-market low, break out 73. Those are the types of things I would be looking for. But just be cautious. All three of these are setting up for these levels that have broken on the daily, and with the market starting to pull back in here, I'm not in longs until I get my confirmation that there's buyers at these levels. You have a gap above previous resistance on multiple retail names, and you don't have any confirmation until this market opens up and I can see some buyers at the open. Buyers step in, I join them, right? I'm never going to be almost no day trader is ever going to be the buyer. Like, you are joining buyers, you are joining sellers when you're trading.
Yeah, definitely, and definitely buyers on the chart here on Shopify. I think something significant to note is like Friday again being kind of a half day, muted day there. You have a strong trend. Again, we're seeing this a lot here, where these earnings reports will cause these tickers to kind of catch some good strength, and then you hold the consolidation and then continue onwards. And then here we have an example where we're breaking multi-month highs on that earnings continuation. So yeah, a little bit of a muted sell-off there, looking at the end of last week, but coming in today, we gap up above those prices and above those multi-month highs as well, right here above these 70s. So maybe a little bit of a pullback back into the 72 could give us some support there. Just looking left real quick, you can see that this top right here, this is the one right here, 7150 is the high that I'll be looking for potential buyers to kind of come back in if we don't continue right off the open.
All right, we mentioned the firm tie-in here, so let's talk some crypto. Back to the downside a little bit here this morning for Bitcoin, coming off that tag of 38,000 plus, going back to Friday. Had a nice move back down through 37 right now, so we are holding back below 37,000. But I mean, all of these, here's Coinbase, all of these crypto-related stocks downside with that. They've had such a huge run up, including Coinbase, the CEO coming out over the weekend, then again this morning talking about the Binance effect, and maybe now we can finally put some of this shadiness, dare I say, behind us and move on with this industry.
Well, CZ still, fighting the good fight for him. He's trying to convince a U.S. judge to allow him to go back to Dubai while he awaits his trial coming up. But yeah, $4.5 billion he forfeited, or Binance forfeited. He had to pay some personal fines as well. Brian Armstrong is in England at the moment talking with some big players, including the Prime Minister there, about digital currency. He said this morning, I think that regulatory clarity is going to help bring more investment, especially from institutions. And this is something we've been talking about a lot, institutional money staying on the sideline here of cryptocurrencies. Brendo, let's see when.
Yeah, we still haven't seen anything. That's the kind of question mark here. When is that actually going to come? So coming off, 3 days in a row, essentially, to the upside here for coin. Back down this morning, though.
We talked about this, and we'll go over it quickly again, just because Bitcoin is showing you some interesting price action that I think it should give you reason for some of your trades if you're looking at the crypto names. In general, there's your false 38 break. This is a 1 hour chart here. And we just are teetering back and forth underneath this 37,000. So underneath 37,000, that's the most recent support level going back in on Thursday. If it cannot reclaim above this level, I think it's at least bearish, sort of stair-stepping a failed 38 break, back down into what, 35, 35.6, 36, that'd be the levels to find some support. If 37 holds, great, but right now you're just sort of holding out underneath it, and as long as that's the case, I'm generally going to be looking for short. I already talked about coin, but it's worth mentioning Mara broke out that $11 level. It could be failing that same price level as we speak. So great run. Okay, good run. Great, probably overstating it a bit. Good run on Mara. You're getting a bit of a pullback. This is actually still bullish on the daily back to this 200 period at about 1050. So that's setting up for a potential dip buy at that level if you get a bounce at any of the support on Bitcoin. But Coinbase is the one it gets at the major resistance level that you're breaking, the 115. I mean, this one, like this, is the one really setting up for a short opportunity. If 37 holds underneath, then Coinbase is the one setting up for the better short, at least in my humble opinion. So, underneath that 115, I'm looking short on Coinbase as long as we're failing 37,000. Those two conditions currently are both met. So I'm looking for a pop and fade here at the open on coin.
Yeah, last week, Friday had some great action. I definitely agree with that $15 level there. But looking left, 114.40 I think was a previous high that we were looking at, that I kind of structured some of the coin trades on Friday off of, when price was holding above that previous high, because we finally broke out. I wanted to interact with that 15 level, but coming in today, a little bit of a pullback. Again, we see that Bitcoin is pulling back as well, quite significantly back into its kind of a multi time frame support there, but a pullback nonetheless. And coin definitely has room to pull back here into this strong trend that it's been having here. So you can throw some moving averages on a larger time frame to kind of figure out where that support may come in, or you can just simply draw just a rough trend line just to see, okay, well, probably not going to find much support until the 110s there, maybe even a little bit lower there potentially. But yeah, I think that's a good look there for a potential pullback into support if that's going to happen. Bitcoin's been holding up quite nicely over the past few weeks after breaking that 30,000.
A little one here, BDRX, huge pop to the upside up to 550, going back to some significant levels on the daily chart here. There was a type 1 diabetes treatment headline, so they picked up a worldwide license for this drug, which is a phase 2 ready type 1 diabetes treatment. So BDRX on the move here. A few people mentioning that. We'll touch on Lucid here. There was a downgrade this morning, as we said, if you're with us early on. Not a lot of volume behind this move so far for Lucid, but worth a note as this move in general for these EV stocks outside of Tesla continues.
Yeah, I'm keeping my eye on the firm here. Just made a big spike up. Anybody interested in that stock? It's making moves in the pre-market. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about Lucid. Chris Pierce, the Needham analyst, coming out this morning and saying, our Lucid downgrade stems from demand wariness, despite our bullishness on their technology advantage versus their peers, and a positive view on their recently unveiled Gravity SUV. This is something we saw Elon talk about on the call with, for Tesla earnings, but the high interest rates really hurting demand for his Model 3, the Model Y, and others, and how he may not be able to scale the Cybertruck as quickly as wanted to because of the high interest rate environment. But yeah, the Gravity SUV, this was unveiled a few weeks ago, I believe, by Lucid. It's supposed to have about 440 miles worth of range. That's up there, and about an $80,000 price target, so far below that 300 or 200 they do for the Air.
Just be aware, the president of Shopify on CNBC right now, so it might be why a firm's moving.
Yeah, well, it could be. It's interesting because I looked at Shopify. Shopify really didn't do much on that last pop. Just here you go. Shopify, it made a little bit of a bounce, but you got like 20, 30 cents while a firm was doing 50 to the upside. And obviously, it's a cheaper stock. That is a significant bump at the open. Well, sorry, into the open here with 7 or 8 minutes to go. We'll get the imbalances. I'll double check those in a few minutes when they come in. I'd expect to see a few of the retailers have some imbalances. Look, Lucid's chart is not necessarily for the faint at heart. The good news for Lucid is we're sort of talking about before. There's some support on this daily, which is beginning to form or continuing to form here at $4.10. If you're into scalp trading, this is probably a stock that you might be interested in today. Just if this holds up or it keeps bouncing off this higher low at 410, then you want to be patient looking for longs underneath 15 into that 10 level and then get whatever bounce you can out of it. If it's not at a resistance level where I'd say bad news short it. Unfortunately, if you're into that, I think you almost have to wait for it to test maybe in the 30s. That could be a level, or 450. But 410 on this 15-minute chart, it's much clearer to see it on the 15-minute chart here. You can see the support there. Bounces one more time, I think you go for the scalp trade. If it fails that level, I would look short underneath. But until that happens, I think you almost have to be super patient. With a level like that on a $4 stock, like, it matters whether you're long at 412, 1213, or 417. Like 417, that's not great R&R based on the way the stock moves, but it's okay. Rivian is in a nice little consolidation pattern from Friday up at a nice $16 bounce. So bounces off this 16 support level. It's got a little bit more juice to it if it breaks this, what we call it, this pre-market range here, 1630 to 1650. That's a 20-cent range from today and also Friday afternoon. Let me slap the 3-minute chart on you here just to give you a better look at it. It's a nice tight range. If this can take out 1650, it's got some juice to the upside there. If I was looking for one of these to make an outsized move today, even with the downgrade, it doesn't seem like it would be Lucid based on what I'm looking at. It looks more like Rivian would give you that push. And one more for you, because I find it sacrilege to not talk about Tesla when we talk about these EVs when you're a trading show. So Tesla and 235. Let's just keep it simple. 235 is it's just beneath the 50 period moving average on the daily. I was watching some Major League videos on YouTube over the weekend, so I apologize in advance if I make some jokes from the movie Major League and Major League 2. It's because I watched a bunch of videos from that one. I don't understand why you gotta slap the fail on that. Like, it is what it is. I'm a kid, look, I was born when I was born, and I like baseball. So I think it's a funny movie. And if you don't think it's a funny movie, fine, fair enough. Some people are into other things. But I'm gonna get, the 235 level stands the heck out for Tesla. You can see in the afternoon, that's where we closed. You can also see on Wednesday, it was afternoon support after getting destroyed. So resistance on Wednesday, turning into support for a big move up, and you're just above it right now. So this is the pivot level for me. If Tesla's above 235, looking long. If Tesla's beneath 235, looking short. And if it's at that level, I want to be patient around that level, looking for confirmation above to buy, looking for confirmation below to short that level. So I almost prefer Tesla and Rivian today. Lucid does give you that 1,410 level to trade off of. Yeah, Willie Mays Hayes, Shiza. Willie Mays Hayes is one of those characters you just absolutely have to, you gotta love if you've watched it. And if most people know Charlie Sheen for other things, but dude was freaking hilarious. He was legit back in the 80s. I'm just gonna say that. People remember him for some of the more recent shenanigans, but absolute fantastic movie. If you're into baseball, you'll love it as well. If you're into EVs, I think Tesla and Rivian's where you gotta be today.
Yeah, definitely. Those names will give you, I think, much more, I guess, range in terms of opportunities. And yeah, Lucid's kind of a tough one. But oh boy, how far we have come off of some of these highs. I still remember selling up here in the 50s and the 40s right there on that news release when it went from CCIV to Lucid. But yeah, we have come quite a distance from those days there. But again,
all quarterbacks.
Downgrade, yes, but this thing has been selling off since those highs in early, I guess, mid to late 21 there. We've only been selling off, so sellers are definitely in charge on the larger time frame here. No real significant moves back to the upside, but we kind of talk about the sideways consolidation there. If it's going to kind of tick back up, and if we're looking to kind of catch a bid, I think some of this price action, this heavy selling, this multi-year now selling on Lucid has to get a little bit sideways before it starts picking up again, and we might be starting to see a little bit of that sidewaysness post earnings. Again, EV's still kind of hot.
I just heard sidewaysness. I like that one. Sideways, consolidation, consolidatory. I'm just gonna start making things up that they sound like they could be words.
Yes.
Like they're obviously not words, but you know what? For most people, you're like, oh, that could be. I'm not gonna call them out on that because then I suddenly might look bad. So we got a few seconds. 928, you're gonna get some imbalances starting to come through. I'm not seeing anything interesting. I mean, Amazon, 180,000 to sell is not very big.
A little bit of a pull.
Okay, 920 just hidden. Yeah, still pretty much nothing there. You got a few names. Like, look at all, it's all penny stocks up at the top. MCOM just showed up for $1 million. That's a penny stock as well. So not much. I mean, gold up there. Be a good day to have Peter Schiff on. He's probably doing like some dances. Right? I wonder what's the Peter Schiff happy dance when we get to 2,000 on gold. I'd love to see that. But yeah, you're not seeing a heck of a lot here. It does look like a muted morning in terms of the imbalances, to be sure. But that doesn't mean there isn't stuff to trade. We definitely want to be looking at some of these wow affirms. See, this is why you don't want to get too wrapped up early in the pre-market. If you had that break, great, congratulations to you. You just dipped back down into 27. Remember what I said? You can have that breakout on the daily at 27, but if it can't hold that at the open and get real nasty real fast, Amazon similarly, this is all with the NASDAQ bouncing about 10 points here. Amazon just pulled back underneath 148. Checks notes on Meta, because Meta 335 was a thing, if memory serves, 335, yeah, 335. So Meta bouncing, the first thing I looked at, I saw all those retail names coming to the downside, and I saw the futures bounce 10 points. So I'm like, okay, what is bouncing if I'm seeing the names I'm watching go to the downside there? Answer would be Meta bounced a little off 335. Apple here back at the 190 level. So this will be essentially flat on the day, but this will show you Apple bouncing really nicely back into the 190. So sometimes you want to look at price action, see what you can learn from it almost instantly. Everything I was looking at was going down. I'm like, what is going up and carrying this market? Maybe keep an eye on Apple here. If it can hold the 190, that is a strong, strong level for Apple's. Retailers come to the downside. At this open, it's Monday. It's Cyber Monday. We got to make some trades here so you can afford that shopping, everybody. Let's get the camera on Adara, because in 3, 2, 1, and now we are open. At least that's what usually happens. The stock market opens back up. Wow, Weeble Coinbase. That was fast. Okay, so we got our first entry in the coin. I'm going to zoom out so you guys can sort of follow along here with me. I have a stop at this 114 local level, because I want to be looking short on coin underneath the 115. But if I get that instant short, like Microsoft the other day, like I want that initial fill, I'm not holding that to 115. I can make another trade up here at that 115 level. So I got it at 35. That's not even the best price in the world. We'll see what happens with Coinbase. Amazon's trying to reclaim that 147 level. That was a distraction, and thank you very much for that distraction, because Affirm just blasted to the upside. I can get Amazon above the 148 though. So Amazon's trying to hold the 148 level. We should be able to get that on the way back through. But Affirm is gonzo.
Yeah. So again, you guys saw that I was a little long there in the pre-market. In and around these levels, we get stopped out on that inbound, and then comes right back in.
Oh, you got
pushes,
that sucks.
Pushes into that 148. But yeah, down here, 147.40s, it came all the way back down to some of these pre-market levels. Sure, I was a little too early on that push in the pre-market, but that's perfectly fine. We get right back in as those prices hold, and the NQ blast to the upside, and we definitely got a little bit of a fugaze, bit of a lick grab in the pre-market of that trend that we were seeing there on Amazon, just back right into the 147.5s, and now we're printing almost a point above that 147.5. Clearly a catalyst-driven move. It's doing R vol, and yeah, we get a little sloppy in the pre-market right there. Kind of got to reconsider that potential lick grab coming in if the move is going to be there for sure. So that 148, 149, kind of an interesting level there. I'm just going to piece off of this for now and wait for this market to kind of show us what it's doing, because we kind of wicked all the way right back into that range on the NQs there. So thank you. Come again, Amazon. I will be looking to continue the long here on the 148 hold if we're going to kind of continue. But that 190 on Apple as well, a little bit of a struggle happening. But the strongest of them all, Neil, is Google.
No? I'd say Affirm is the strongest. Look, of them all is like you're talking the Mag 7. I get it. But Affirm, so this is 27. If you wonder why, so I'll get to Amazon in a second. But if you're wondering why I'm upset, it's because that's 27 on Affirm. It dips right in at the open. I said be patient for it. Well, you can only be so patient. But if you were early, it certainly would have paid off for you. I'm in it on this break. So breaking 27.7. Breaking 27.7 there, and then gets to the 80s. I just took that. It's through 28. We're going to ring Reggie on this one, but we could have had this down here at 27 even. No questions about it. There was another opportunity out there. So we're going to stay net long here. Remember we said I think there's double digits, percentage-wise at least, in Affirm. Now we're going to get to Amazon, which that sucks.
Comes right back in.
That's not, so if Affirm is strong, this is not good. It broke back out, was able to get the 148 area. It got the high of the day, took some profit. That is a rejection of the high. Yes. Rejection of the pre-market levels, right when we just ticked down underneath 16,000 on the NASDAQ at the same moment. Look, I still like Amazon where it's at on the daily, but if you're failing a 16,000 breakout and you're failing a top on Amazon, I need to be convinced to get back into this. So I'm going to be a little bit patient when it comes to that. Coinbase also making a move. It was a quick up and down. It regained 113. I don't really like this exit here, taking some shares out at 113 even. I got anchored to a 13 level, to an even dollar level in there, and I should have been holding out for the bottom of the range. But so far, so good. At least off the top, I know we missed out on the best possible price on a firm, but that's going to happen to you time and time again. Shopify, let's get to. That was the other retail name we're looking at. When we talk about being patient, were there buyers at the open? No, absolutely not. There's some buyers above 71.5, which is a level I'm interested in. So you did dip down to 71. It's now trying to hold that 71.5, which was this previous high in here. So Shopify, not nearly as strong as a firm. I need to see some reasons to get in off of this level, but it's looking pretty decent. Tesla has resolved underneath that 235 level. At least for now, it's only 5 minutes into the open, but it's resolving underneath that 235. I'm favoring the short off of those levels on Tesla. So if we do get back to the top side, I'd be looking for shorts off 235. Rivian was the other name we kind of thought we might be involved in, at least as far as the EVs go. It's still inside of its range, but breaking the low of the day as well. So I'm back into some Coinbase. I'm hanging on to a firm because that's absolutely flying at this moment, and just looking and patiently waiting for Shopify if it wants to set back up. But I need to be convinced for this one on the long. It's looking a little better now, like you're actually seeing some strength above that 71.50. Almost time to get into some shop.
Oh boy, there is absolutely no bid holding here on the Amazon. Again, I'm going to stay a little bit patient there, as it is one of my number one kind of plans on the day with the catalyst that it's had, with the RVOL that it's had. But before we continue that, we're going to pass it off to Dara.
Okay. Yeah, sorry for the wait there. We actually do have on note Kraft Heinz, the case HC on the NQ. Not a lot of volume yet, but there was a $3 billion share buyback. Keep an eye on this name. We are seeing higher trading right now, guys.
So a couple of things just happened in there. One, you'll see me out of a firm. You'll see me out of coin on the reload. So let's go with coin first. I always like to start with the one that went wrong, because it's usually when you learn the most from. We grabbed a reload tighter to the 114, but it just wicked it. And that might have been a bit of a trap. So on the way back in, so anyone that, if you trade long enough or you watch the show long enough, if I make a wick and it's immediate rejection of that break, I like the level, I'm gonna go right back into it. It's a different setup off the same level. The high is now 114.20-ish. Looks like, yeah, no, 20 even. No, it's 114.20 even, so 420 once again. 420 is everywhere, man. It's ridiculous. So 114.20 is the new local high. Got back in. 72s isn't the best price. I'm hitting it on the way back. I'd have to get tired of 114 if I want to add to this position. So far, so good on the reload into Coinbase, but sometimes it's going to happen to you at the open. I prefer the old stop it out and get back in, as opposed to just holding it through. That's just not my style of trade. A firm blasted and then rejected 28.5. Now, if you know me, a 27 move into a bounce off 27 that I don't get, and then a breakout of the local high, I'm gonna take the money and run. I'll take the 2 points and get out of there. Look for the next trade off at 28, maybe a consolidation around this 28.50. I like to take the money and run. That's where it's at. I see PayPal's also strong. It was Shopify that I wanted to get into as well. That was the one that was setting up. Looked strong over 72. Here comes the retest of 71.5. So it's got the higher low potential in it, but this is trending down into a weak market. I know a firm's flying, but like Tesla's dropping down 1%. We just rejected 16,000. We don't get back above that number. I think you want to be very, very careful about where you're getting into longs and shorts here. If you're getting into a long, make sure it's in a strong name, because this market just rejected a top and is still underneath 16,000 on the NASDAQ. Apologies for not getting some of the chip names. I know usually we're all over these. Come on, NVIDIA, there you go. NVIDIA, strong. NVIDIA potentially breaking out the high here at that 480 level. Just checking my notes. Yeah, I had support levels written in for this stock, thinking we're just going to if we immediately flushed, I like the 450 and the 460 levels. But if you're looking for resistance, it's up here at the 85, 86. That might actually come into play.
Yeah, some strong volatility off that open. Again,
again,
continuing here on the Amazon there. good reasons to sell when that happens right there. You saw that you push through pre-market highs, and then the NQ goes and does something like this, and as well as across the board, you can see Softy and Apple and Alphabet, along with maybe not so much NVIDIA, as NVIDIA is looking distinctly different from the rest of them here. Take a look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA super strong, very disconnected from the rest of the price action here on the other Mag 7 and as well as the NQs there. And yeah, so I'm going to stay a little bit patient here. We were looking for a little bit of a bid to catch. That 147 bid did catch. I was watching that, and then we're coming right back into that 148. But I'm going to stay a little bit patient here as the first 15-minute candle still has not been printed. We got 5 more minutes left for that. I just want a little bit more information before taking some next execution. But it seems like both the ES and the NQ kind of bouncing off of a little bit of a support here, just underneath in and around that 16 thou on the NQ. Oh, okay, never mind. I thought I had two NQ charts there, so I guess the ES not really bouncing too much off of too significant of an area there. Yeah, it wouldn't seem so. But again, that 4,500 is there as well. So that disconnect, right? That's what I'm looking for to kind of gauge whether or not I should be looking for that long here on Amazon, on Apple as well. If the market can kind of hold this level and kind of continue back up, we have been having an uptrend in the pre-market session there, and that 148 coming in real hot. And before that, we're going to pass it off to the big desk.
Yeah, Biodexa Pharmaceuticals, one to watch right now, skyrocketing after basically looking to acquire a worldwide exclusive license to Solimidone. So yeah, we're up about 112% right now. This one is halted right now, but keep an eye on BDRX, guys.
Yeah, so right now I see it's 590, it halted. It's 619 is the theoretical auction price, as that is, it's a flyer, and it is definitely running and continuing higher. Wow, oh my, for the love of a firm. Buy now, pay always. Bye-bye, bye-bye. Yeah, you want those double digits. It's double digits now.
Wow, affirm.
I always, for my style of trade, I'm pretty much always going to be in that whole FOMO thing for a breakout because I'm looking for the stairs to the upside is a style. This one ain't taking the stairs. We're taking like the elevator to the upside. Amazon is also back above that 148 level. So I am looking to get back into this. Let me just go over to Amazon because this is now far gone on a firm. Amazon back above that 148. I'm looking to join back in. We did have a break here. We're able to get 60 cents on it, and then a tight stop, lost about 15 on the way back out. So risk reward good, but I want to be along above that 148. Shopify is setting back up as well as it continues to show some strength. I might not get that 72, but it just wicked here off this 73 level. So the next available dip, I'm going to look for that Shopify entry point for me. And Coinbase, the first short okay. We got wicked again, so we took profit down 113, got back in, got wicked again. That was the one. That was probably the good short in here, tighter to that 115 level. But I was playing the 114.20 first. We're going to wait for it to get back up to 115. It's only at 114 even now, so we got to be patient with it. A firm wants 30, and it's not waiting for anybody. That stock is insane.
Yeah, absolute wild strength.
Insane. Wow. I'm a little speechless from a firm.
Yeah, definitely. Again, we talked about why this name is running there. A lot of holiday shopping and people using their services, and that sentiment definitely getting reflected here in that price action, that bullish action right there. So yeah, let's just take a quick look left here. I don't know if this is all-time high. No, this is definitely not all-time highs. We talked about that kind of a multi-month break happening there on the Affirm. But yeah, this has got lots of room to go there, Neil. I don't see any real resistance until this 41 area. Now, I'm sure it's not going to do it all in one day there, as I don't know if that ATR or even the float will really, I guess, warrant that with the type of volume that we're doing. Yeah, exactly. It does about 15 million average volume, and we've done only about 2 million there. But again, only the first 15 minutes there.
Yeah, come to me for a quick second before we get to Adara. I did just take a little dip into Shopify, but Affirm 30 is also a nice round number. It's not just necessarily a big level, but we'll respect that round number. I think there could be a big dip in Affirm at some point, just given the way it's going parabolic. Let's go to the desk.
CRM moving right now amid news that it's going to expand its partnership with AWS for some AI-related reasons. So keep an eye on CRM right now, guys.
The buying is finally coming into Amazon the way you want to see it. Salesforce, I like you, but today I want to be looking at, and the retailers are going to be the first look today. There's no question about it. We're battling the 16,000 level. You're starting to see some actual buying hold above 148 on Amazon. So, I just wanted those 25s. Okay, I just paid a little for 31s, which means next fill is going to be down in the teens if I can help it. So Amazon, look, I'm into Shopify. I am still looking for the next opportunity that's reasonable in Affirm. If reasonable even exists on Affirm, let's be real for a second. It might not today. But yeah, getting that long in front of the 148 on Amazon. We're at that 16,000 level. You're still clear out of last week's highs as long as you're above the 148. That's where I wanted the bids to start to come in. Shopify, which is the first trade for me, holds on to 72.5. Like, it just tested this high. I want to see if it can hold this consolidation, bouncing off the 50 level. This is 72.40 in here, and everyone can you kind of have to do you. But generally speaking, when you make that push into 73, dip back in, hold 72.40, like I want my stop underneath where it showed me that early support. So it's for me, a stair step up. Once I see the next step, I'm not holding underneath it, because if it doesn't hold that pattern, if it breaks that 40 level, I don't see a reason to still be in this bad boy. I want to go back over to coin if I can, because there it is. That's 115 on Coinbase. We closed on Friday at 115.15. Now ignore this. It looks like a great consolidation. The market closed at 1 o'clock. So like that's just aftermarket action. It looks like, hey, what a great level at 115.15. Not really. That's not how it works. So if we get to and break 115, it's 55 would be the previous close. Then I'm just going to get out. But wait for the 115 level the next. I did play off 114 because it showed me that at the open for a pop and fade. But the big level is up here at that 115. So we're in that short. It's the only short I've had this morning, and the rest has been retail long. I don't know what to tell you. Like Black Friday, and you trade only retail. If you guys are trading other things, I totally understand it. I can, you trade your own book, but these are the ones that stood out to me. Just got to play into 73 here on Shop. If we get to the pre-market top, I want to take another out above 73. But I'm not moving my stop or trailing it until we get to that pre-market high. If we get to the pre-market high and fail it, then I want to get out of everything under 73. If we break the high, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But Shop finally starting to go. It's Coinbase that we have to be careful with here, as it's right above that 115. Wild. I mean, Bitcoin, we're still underneath 37,000, that was the condition I needed to see. Like, do I like the short? Yes. I want to make sure we're underneath 37,000, but we are threatening higher on Coinbase despite that. Let's go Shop.
Yeah, I'm watching kind of Apple here, just breaking through new lows of day on the in the open session there on Apple, coming into that 189. But it seems like you are definitely right on that 148 bid on Amazon. I did get a little bit short on a stall there. As we didn't really continue right away. But yeah, no, that bid picks right back up on Amazon and pushing right back into that 148 halves there. But Apple kind of disconnected from that price action as well, as it pulls right back into that 189. The bid is definitely there, but it's looking like it's kind of a little bit muted there on Amazon. Kind of a weak bid, but we could very well just kind of grind slowly back up through these levels and then push right towards that 149, 150 as well. That's what I'm looking forward to. But this Apple kind of being weak, and Alphabet also kind of doing a little bit of a pullback, as well as Softy. Let's take a quick look here. I do have coin back up here above the 15. Again, 15, I think, is a great place to interact with. A little bit of an over-under, a little bit of a churn, giving it back into that 15, long or short, both ways. Once it does, if it's going to do what it did on Friday, just get sideways in and around that 15 and just chop around. But take a look at Apple here, right here. So a little bit of a continuation from last week. We saw that strong selling happen on Friday, and we just consolidated near the lows for the rest of the day. And today, coming in today, we kind of grabbed that consolidation, and we're getting a little bit of a continuation back down to the downside. And Google as well, looking quite similar there. We saw that it had some crazy strength out off the open. You pretty much wipe all those prices from Friday, and then you come right back in. That strong selling from Friday, kind of showing its face there once again here on Google. But Amazon, Nvidia looking a little bit different there. Meta as well. I was talking to Neil last week. The constituents have changed once again. Kind of the top weighted tickers in the NQ are a little bit different now. It's Apple, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Nvidia, and Meta now. We know that Meta kind of dropped down a little bit earlier on in the year. There, it wasn't necessarily in the top 5 as per se, but now based off of market cap and their weight, it has slowly moved right back up. So going to be keeping a closer eye on Meta going forward once again there, as it does have a significant kind of a portion of that weighting there. As you guys know, I like to watch kind of the Mag 7 and reference the futures as well to really see who's getting pulled around by what and the potential of confluence for the trades there.
Speaking of confluence, oh, I'm just kidding. Actually, you know what? 410 on Lucid. I was trying to come up with something that I could say that would be clever, but 410's a level. You can see, like, I'm trading all the retail names, but this is a level on Lucid. It went to 410. I said, if you're into scalp trading, this is what you look for. It's an obvious bounce. It's already given you a decent risk to reward return. If you're holding on to it, fair enough, do you. I think, I would be taking something out if I was long at 11 or 12. I'd be starting to get out once it got 15s into the 20s. You can hold something for the dream, but Lucid hasn't been the strongest stock in the world. Amazon is doing its best. It just held for actually 14.20 on the way back in. I have a couple of scalps into 14.8. 148.50, not 14.8, 148.50. But this is a lower high. I still think it can set up a nice consolidation off 148, but that initial bounce, not super strong. And we're failing 16,000 on the NASDAQ again. So if we don't hold on to this support here in Amazon, I got to get out again. And this time it doesn't give you that high at 146.6. However, what is absolutely flying to the upside is Shopify. Now, obviously, Shopify is a little bit more aggressive, kind of like Affirm is as well. We are breaking out that high of the day. We just took the top, so I don't want this getting back underneath 73, but this has room to 75. There can be places to join. I mean, the daily chart, you're breaking out big time on the daily. You've got lots of room to run. 75 is more of a psychological level than anything else. So I think this one can easily get to double digits. It doesn't mean it has to, but I want to be finding places to join. That just zoomed out way too far because then you see the split. But 75 looks like a pretty obvious level that we can get to. It's Coinbase once again. Like, I like it. I look over, and Bitcoin is breaking lows. Yeah, this is going to be a tricky one. Pretty much my thesis is holding in terms of, okay, the crypto, like Bitcoin is stair-stepping to that downside, but Coinbase isn't behaving. So we're traded off our level. I have my stop above the previous close. If I get stopped out, I can re-enter off that price on a fail break. Otherwise, I just have to get the heck out of Dodge and recognize that this stock doesn't want to do what I want it to. So it hasn't stopped out yet, but you got to be acknowledged. I'm not moving my stop or anything, but it is trying to turn green, which doesn't make a ton of sense to me. Tesla is at that 235 level, but I do want to get to some of the chip names for you guys. Again, if you're just focused on Shop, Amazon, and Affirm, like the retails, you should be just fine on a morning like this morning. But there are other things happening here. You didn't get to 485 on Nvidia. That's where I would have thought the short comes into play. Doesn't matter what I think, it didn't get there. Now the question becomes, can it get back in, stay green by holding 478, and maybe still continue to stair step to the upside? But this is not a day where I personally want to get too far away from the thesis when just about everything is working. Coin is it's a work in progress, what Coinbase is. Look, if Amazon fails this high one more time, I probably take a leg out here. But I want to be holding on to these retail names. I want to give this a chance for 150. So I'm going to get a 149-ish fill. and then see if we can't get to that breakout 149 and get to that 150. Amazon now breaking the high of the day finally. I mean, the retail names are the jam. I mean, whether you guys shopped on Black Friday or shopping right now on Cyber Monday doesn't really matter. Lots of people did, and they spent good money, and the retail names want to reward it here, because if I'm watching the futures, like, what are we seeing here? 16,000, up, down, fail, can't hold above, blah, blah, blah. Like, where's the activity? Where's the action? Where's the confluence above 16,000? I'm not seeing it. But all you have in Amazon, wipe out bottom, holds green, doesn't break 147 barely, and then we get back above that 148 that we like, and then it's to the tops. Now I took some out on the way to 149. We can still run that. Shopify's going. I just keep shaking my head when I look at a firm. Sometimes it be like that. You know, sometimes you can have a winning trade, like 2% at the open is usually pretty good. That's a fail. No, it's not a fail because I got out. It's a fail because I never found my way back into the trade. 28.50 was there for me if I wanted it on a firm, but I didn't really take that one. I want to get over to a couple of other names here for you guys. Palantir being one of them. Yeah, there goes Coin. Hands off. That one just broke the high again. Slapped a fail on Coinbase. It's like 3 for 3 retail, but the one crypto name not giving me the feels. Palantir. This is one of my favorite setups for Palantir. Fail, break the bottom on big volume, regain the even dollar level, take the stairs to the upside. So the next thing would be, okay, give me the dip into 19, right? So shout out to Alex. Apologies, Alex. I can't pronounce your last name. Prania, Palantir waking up. You're darn right. That is a false break at the bottom. That is very bullish. It's trap shorts underneath 19, which is the first thing I look for. And then I want to buy dips back into the 19 level. I'd probably even give it to 18.95 here. So I'm a joiner when it comes to this, for sure. But like I said, we only have all 3 longs worked for us today. It's the short that's not paying out in Coinbase. It took out that high. I'm walking away from Coin. Sometimes that's how it is. You've got to be able to walk away from your losers when it does happen. One more to get to before I'll send it back to you, Obi. You mentioned Apple. I don't know if Apple now stair-stepping down. It was breaking out 190. This is where some of the weakness could come into this market. Failing 190 and stairs to the downside on Apple, in addition to Tesla, which just curled at what price do you think? 235.
Sorry about that. Keep fighting.
Did you like the long?
Here. I did like the long there, but that stall keeps me a little bit, I guess, on my feet. Every time it kind of slows down, I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe we are going to get a little toppy here. But you were 100% right. I am wrong on the short idea there on these shorts, because something to note, in the pre-market, we basically lick grab that 147 halves, and then out the open, you come in.
Can I say something first? I want to correct you with something.
Sure.
I'm not right. You're right. You're the one that said go long, but 148.
I didn't even listen to myself, so.
No, but it's true. I'm not saying it to be that guy. It's just that you're like it's almost more your call than anything. I like Shopify and Affirm more. Yeah. Amazon's your baby.
That 148 held so well, and I was like, okay, well, I'll take it right back into VWAP, and then VWAP 147.95s. It comes in. You can see that I got short right here in the 20s. It does come in. It gives you that those 90s, but instantly rebids right back through the 148s. Into the 148.20s, and then blast through into for the 149 test right away off of that VWAP. So VWAP quite strong there on Amazon right now. But that 149, 150, again, a little bit of a trouble area there. And with the market kind of going a little bit sideways here, a little indecisive with that 16 thou area. I'm watching the SPY as well. SPY kind of holding that 454 support there, so that might be working a little bit against us here. But a little bit of a mutedness in terms of that morning momentum continuation is what I'm going for there. But definitely the long is not wrong on Amazon off of these. Every time it kind of dips, it gets aggressively kind of bought right back up. But we'll let that one cook a little bit there, and we'll give it a couple more tries before, definitely being like, we're gonna piece off of this and come back to it maybe a little bit later after that morning volatility has kind of settled down. So I'm just going through here the top volume gainers on the day. Neil just talked about that Tesla kind of that #1 volume leader on the day. A bit of a sell-off off of these pre-market levels, kind of straight quadunk right off the open. That 235 definitely significant. We're holding right underneath that level right now. Bank of America right here, nothing too crazy in terms of price action, a little bit of a sideways move. I don't really see anything too much for me there, but that strong move there on Friday, kind of consolidation off the open, and then we get bought right back up, and we're holding in and around that consolidation area above that 29.5s as of right now. BDRX, we've been talking about this one, kind of a halter on the day there. Strong volume in the pre-market. I didn't necessarily see what this biotech news was, but I'll take a quick look here. An hour ago, they're going to acquire Telimidone as a phase 2 ready asset type 1 diabetes. Okay, so it's a diabetes catalyst, not too bad. Definitely going to catch a little bit of a bid.
But only one type diabetes?
Yeah, type 1 diabetes. I think that's what they're going for.
You're the first person that reads those and actually understands it, and B says the drug name right. Like I usually just ignore the drug name because I can't say it.
I can't, trust me, I can't pronounce a lot of them really well. They get a little difficult with like kind of like the attachments and like the compounds and whatever. Yeah, it's
we have to go to Adair in a second for happening, but quickly before we do that, SoFi $7. It's a level. You can zoom out. Trust me, it's a level. It's also $7. But let's go to the desk with Dara for happening now.
We just got some economic data, including new home sales at 10 a.m. They came in a little bit lower than the previous and the forecast and consensus here. So we got 0.679 million compared to the previous of 0.719 million in the forecast and consensus, both around about 0.73 million. For new home sales month over month, we saw a decrease of 5.6% compared to the previous, which was an increase of 8.6% in the forecast of -4%. So definitely one to watch. In terms of the Qs right now, we're just slightly negative on the day, pretty flat though. Stocks to watch, we have a couple downgrades on watch right now, including Foot Locker down about 3.5% after a Citigroup downgrade to sell from neutral with an $18 price target. We also have Lucid with a Needham downgrade to hold. This one down about 2.5% right now. Keep an eye on both of those names. Brought to you by Search Trader, where traders can get a funded trading account up to $1 million and keep up to 90% of the profits. The program has simple rules and no time limits. Go to searchtrader.com/TTV and use the promo code TTV for 10% off.
Affirm is ridiculous.
Stop, won't stop.
It is like this stock is insane. This is exactly how you. FOMO is a term that gets used a lot. This is FOMO. Like I'm actually having trouble like looking at this and speaking right now because it's bothering. It's bothering. And like I acknowledge that it's bothering me. Like this is what's preventing me from buying highs in here. It's the fact that I'm at least acknowledging the abject fail that it was getting out of this trade in retrospect. But okay, then on to the next. If it fails at 30, you still have a potential consolidation. I almost want to say VWAP, but the way this is trading, I think you look at these quarters in here. Right, like if you did all this with wick action above 29.25 and beneath it, if you fail this 30, which is 29.93, is a high, I think you look for the higher entry point about 29.25. That is completely nonsensical. SoFi, SoFi broke that $7 level, and we're still. It got to 01s. I'm not really seeing. There were no buyers above. Like the bid on 7. When it showed the bid and it was on the offer at 701 was essentially the same as any other level. There was no buyers above it. Until I see buying above, I'm not really going to join that. I did get out of Shopify. We rang the register on that one. Congratulations! And all that happened is it got to say, my steez. If it gets to 74 and pulls back like this, I'm taking that out. Right? Like generally speaking, I'll take the stair step up. Get out at resistance levels, hold on the break, but get out when you reject a major level. That's my style. Look for the reentry point. I think 73 could come into play. This was 72.85-ish in the pre-market, so if it holds down there in front of 73, I like that for a reentry. Squares break. Look, if you're trading any of these names, First of all, Coinbase, thank God we got away from that one. Oh, goodness. Thank goodness. But look at, okay, Affirm's going to break 30 now. That's ridiculous. $60 just broke on SoFi. Levels to the left of them, breakouts to the right of them, Volley and Thunder. This market wants a top. That looks good. If SoFi's not breaking above 60, it looks pretty solid on Square as far as I'm concerned. Amazon did tap 149. Remember, I already got some out in front of 149. I want to hang on to this one to give it a chance for some more. But this looks really, really good on Square. You just have to pick and choose because you're getting the same setup over and over again. Like you just broke out, now you're looking for dip buys. That applies to Affirm. It applies to getting back into Shopify. It applies now to Square. SoFi's at that breakout. This is why I'm not looking at Tesla today or Rivian or Lucid, because there's just too many setups on these retail names over and over and over again.
Yeah, so a little bit of a reclaim into VWAP there on Apple. Kind of a little bit of stalling in and around VWAP. So I got a little short there, keeping it a tight risk. Let's see if VWAP continues to stay heavy, kind of a continuation off of this 190 rejection right off the open. We can see that we've been continually making a little bit of a lower highs off these pre-market levels. 190 comes in, you kind of push back into 190, can't really make it. Quadroon down to 189, and then now you're pushing right back up into 189 halves, kind of making the little bit of a stair-step lower lows there potentially. But if we reclaim VWAP and hold above, we're definitely going to be piecing off of this position here. But yeah, Amazon's short. Kind of, I think this is going to be my last try for now. If it doesn't really happen here and we can reclaim that 149 and hold above that 149, maybe we do continue into that 150 level there. The NQ's kind of creeping right back up to some of these pre-market highs. Hasn't really negated that strong sell-off. You saw that strong pop right off the open, kind of pushes right here into the 1630s right there, and then comes right back in, about a 30-point flush right back into that 16,000. That 16,000 staying very, very interesting in terms of an area to interact with. Kind of a little bit of a messy action in and around those levels there. But yeah, definitely Affirm is definitely moving like crazy there. Just continuing to kind of go down. Some of these volume leaders on the day. Mara here showing face as well as one of the volume leaders on the day. Mara kind of moving with that Coinbase there.
Bitcoin's bouncing.
Bitcoin's bouncing? Okay. Oh, wow. So Coin actually made it right back past that 115. So we definitely missed out on that trade for that push, that continuation off of last week's levels. That 117. Yeah, we broke that 117. I totally missed that trade there. Did have an alert up on it, but didn't necessarily pay too much attention to it there. But that strong move. Again, we saw what this was capable of doing. 108 to 117s on Friday, and we're getting a little bit of the same today, that 111 all the way pushing almost to that 120 right now. So let's see where and when this consolidation is going to start to happen. On Friday, we waited for this price action to start to get a little sideways because we didn't really get involved in the drive, that strong momentum to the upside that happened off the open. And because of that's doing a little bit more of the same today, I'm going to be waiting kind of patiently there. Sure, we missed a lot of trades here. I'm sure the dollar breaks were great, or not, maybe not all of them, but some of them seemed like they were pretty nice there. That 117 kind of a high breakthrough of Friday's price looks quite clean. What's going on, Neil?
You ever seen Reacher? Like Jack Reacher?
I think
not the show, the movie with Tom Cruise.
Yeah, I think I've seen the movie, but I don't really recall.
There's a line in Jack Reacher where he's like, it's not really a spoiler, where basically he just turns to a bunch of dudes he's about to beat the heck up, and he's like, just remember, you asked for this. So you're gonna look. I'm short Affirm right now, and that's the first thing that came to my mind when it got to 30, and then wicked the 30 level. Just remember, Neil, you asked for it to get to this level. I was like, yeah, Affirm, that's the top. I wouldn't short anything but the even, blah, 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 blah. Yes, I asked for it. And now Affirm is here, and now I'm short at 86. So yes, we were long initially, but Affirm wants this high. And if it breaks it, we got to get the you-know-what out of Dodge. But it's a setup. It's a setup that I'm going to take like 10 times out of. I shouldn't say 10 times out of 10, but I mean, every single time I see it, I'm going to do it. So I take this shot. If it shows me this trade and I can risk 40 points and VWAP sits there at 29 even, I'm going to be there on that trade almost every single time. But acknowledging, be careful what you wish for. But that's a setup I'm going to have. If it wicks that high, fair enough. We'll respect it. The long ain't been wrong today. No question about it. We just broke 149 on Amazon, Shopify. Where's my bid on Shopify? Oh, yeah, I was messing around with a firm. Shopify bounces off that 72.8. Looks like it's going to carry through 73 again. Okay, what the beak. But this price needs to be tighter to 73 if it all can be. I want to avoid a price too far away from 73 here because I think I have to get out underneath 73 and not 73 even. Just think out loud with you guys. So getting 73, 25 here, I want my average price to be like 73, 05 or 10 work to break down, which means I can't add higher. If I'm going to get more shares in this, it's going to have to be at a better price into an uptrend, which isn't always likely. So I'll be patient with it. But I talk about this all the time. Like, yes, that's a good setup on a firm in terms of a short opportunity. It might eventually work out, don't get me wrong. But in the moment that it happened, that was also my chance to dip buy on Shopify. So if this gets back to 74 and I'm not all in, it's because I was trading a firm. Right place to be, but the timing of that just absolutely sucked. So long on these names has been free money pretty much all day long. The market's breaking the highs. The only thing left would be if Tesla takes out 235, then it can just be a party on Cyber Monday to the upside. Let's go to the desk with Adair.
Roku climbing to the upside right now, up just over 6%, dancing around that area. Pretty good volume as well. No news on this one yet, but Roku definitely one to watch, guys.
All right. SoFi is now catching a bit of we just talked about everything being along. SoFi back above $7. Suddenly, you actually have some buyers in here at ones and evens as well. So it had to take out 701. It's not exactly flying, but I'll join this one. It's adjacent to the space. I mean, it's not an obvious play alongside, but it's definitely adjacent. Oh, give me a break. I didn't want to have to pay twos. I thought I was going to get that even on the midpoint. All right. I don't want to get nothing. I'm going to hit threes if it looks like it's going to go, but I'm trying to get some twos and ones here on SoFi. I see that. Look, I see people in the chat talking about Roku. Roku broke 100. Congratulations! You gotta be kidding me. Wow, this is flying. Old man hands kneel. See that? Algos. All right, I'm gonna sit at twos, threes, and ones, but I'm not chasing that. I'm not chasing you. We've got longs. We're okay. But if it comes back in, SoFi will do that dance on a 7 break. And if I have to chase to 5, I'll wait back. Okay, so what the heck? What's going on with Roku? Did I miss something?
I'll check. Wow. Yeah, that's.
So basically, just go long today on anything that sets up really. Like if you just see a breakout setup on the daily chart, just take it. Apparently, it doesn't really matter. And again, there could be something going on with Roku. But wow, look at this break on the daily chart. Suffice to say, the channel that I had, I don't even know why I had this channel drawn, but I also don't know why. Why wouldn't I have just swung long Roku at like 86 in my personal account? If I liked it. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. 100 is gone. 98 was the last key level. You, when in doubt, zoom out. I'll let other people zoom out for this to find the next level on Roku. But this is on one. And apparently Dish is moving. Jameson saying, is the squeeze finally happening for everybody on Dish? Which, there you go, it's a NASDAQ stock. I don't know why I just thought that was on the New York. See, I wait for threes and I still get them. Haha, you almost made me punch 5, SoFi. No. Dish. Oh, come on, that's not good. Well, I'm hitting the flush for that because on a day like today, Dish is not going. Dish is breaking out. Okay, let's go back to the Dish needs to break this top here, like 385, maybe get above 4. I'm with you that this could squeeze and fill in this gap, but it's not going. Roku is going. Affirm is going. SoFi is kind of going. Shopify is going. I mean, the list of names that are running. BRDX, Mr. Blue in the chat. Great name, by the way. I know what you're talking about. I know what's up with that one. Obi probably doesn't get that one, but I get Mr. Blue. BRDX, I don't know how many times I can hit it. It's BDRX, that's why. BDRX is going. You want to make sure you're trading names with actual catalysts that are actually going, or you're going to find yourself, I don't know, like over trading, all that bad stuff. This one's halted, by the way. So halted at 757 with a 770 tap. I don't have to tell you it's at a big point on the daily. This is a reverse split special, blah, blah, blah. Reverse split, finds bottom, breaks out. If it gets above $8, it gets interesting. If it gets above $9.50, then the shorts in this are screwed. If this breaks, call it like $10. Like the shorts are pissing their pants if it breaks $10. It's at the big level now at 8, but there's still room for it to run. I tend to be very cautious joining these because it's already halted a few times in here. I don't even know where I could have been able to trade this. Like guess, like maybe that was an entry. This is probably the most reasonable entry right here. Dip into 5, long at like 5. You're still even putting up $1 at that. So be careful trading this. But if it clears 8, it's got a couple of dollars till the next resistance point. So I'm into SoFi. We got that one. Okay, I didn't get 1s and 2s. I had to pay to 3. Gonna get some offers out on the way to 10s, and then see if it holds on to 7 even on the way back. Shopify, that's been a long and is still a long, but we're struggling up at the top here. I never got a chance to add, and with this market pulling back in, I think I need to take this at the top. Like we're already slow. Yeah, you're slowing down too early here on Shopify. So, you know, I didn't get a great entry anyways. Let me just take this one out if we get to the top. I can get a top end break at 74. I can get a dip back into VWAP. I can continue to hold on to Amazon, which is working, as that's starting to pull back in. I'm going to take the money on Shop. Just take the half dollar move. Got Shopify, which is going. Oh, the other reason why. Sorry, I should have said this. While that was happening, the futures, the NASDAQ futures just wicked the top again. So we just wicked the top again. Which means I want to find a place to take profit. It ended up being Shopify. I was already doing so in SoFi. But I added SoFi to my list and then took Coinbase off for obvious reasons. But it's been all the same names for me. That's why we can ring the register. Try not to look too many gift horses in the mouth, however. That will get you into trouble. So SoFi is going where he talked about that. Zero Gravity Zen. Rivian coming back down soon. Oh, Rivian's strong. Tesla's down 0.3. Rivian's breaking out. And every single thing would have worked today. You could have taken the breakdown of that channel in Rivian and made 1.5%. And then if you took the breakout upside, that gives you 2%. Like that's ridiculous. You work, like either one of those two trades work. Both of them work. You could have shorted that. Easy win to 16. Break out the high, you win on that too. But the long is what's working here better. So if you're trading Rivian, the gap fills to about 7. I mean, the gap fills to 1680. The resistance has been above 17, like 17 to 1715. So that's where I'd want to respect it. Shout out to anyone that happens to be long this. Shout out to you, Bull23. I wonder what that's referencing. I can't imagine what that might be. But guess what just broke 235? It begins with.
Tesla.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay, that's fine.
Sorry, did I mess it up? He was gonna say it begins with a, and then I just said Tesla. So it begins with a Tesla and ends with a Tesla. Maybe.
The moment's gone now. Uber.
Damn.
The moment's gone.
Apologize. But I don't know. I have a tendency to front run sometimes.
I don't have many good ones, man. It doesn't. But it is failing this 235 break. I want to see the buyers above 235. It just got to 50. And a bit of a rejection. If buyers can come in holding this bid, which has not happened, it broke 235, floated up, but the bid didn't really follow it. Very thin bid above 235. If it can establish and I see buyers above, then I want to jump into this. It just made a bottom at about 80, so here come some buyers now. Don't be too picky about it. So it just made a bottom at 80. Sorry, I was just sometimes you got to get into position and then talk about it. So as it failed back underneath, it made a bottom at 234.80. The buyers stepped back in above 235. That gives me an out underneath 234.80 with my long in here at the 20s. That's only 40 cents plus slippage. It's like a $0.50 risk on Tesla, which is not a lot. But if it's going to be a long on a stock which is red with the market maybe failing that top, then I don't mind the fact that it's a tight stop. And if we get back up to that 236 area, I definitely want to ring the register somewhere above the 50s, but this might not hold on. Yeah, that buying was pretty muted. But anyways, I wanted to walk through everybody like what I'm thinking. The buyers did emerge, but not necessarily strong enough on that move. So I'll risk that 42 cents there that we took the loss on, but I don't mind getting back into this if we can hold above 235. Just need to see more strong buying than that with these futures dancing everywhere. Let's go to the desk with Adara again.
Domino's having a price target upgrade right now. They're up almost 4%. Not much volume yet, but we definitely have had stronger volume since this came out. Keep an eye on DP's ad, guys.
Great question. Because sometimes we'll say this, I'll say this a lot. David Fabian, how to tell when the buyers are coming in. So let me go quickly to level 2. So when you're looking at the tape, there's a couple of things I'm looking for to note that there's buying above 235. First thing first, like I want to actually see green, aggressive green on the tape for size. Like that's the obvious one. Like are there actual lots going off that aren't like these ones? Am I seeing like hundreds and thousands buying? The second thing I want to see is when 235 breaks the bid, does the spread tighten up? Right, so when you break a key price level, a bunch of stops will go off. People are hitting the ask and pulling offers and all that chaos that goes with level breaking. But you'll see the spread open up. If it's like right now, sometimes you'll see a 3 to 5 cent spread on Tesla. If it opens up to 20 to 25, that means the offers are getting pulled and hit, but no one's buying. There's no bids that are following it to the upside. So what I want to see is the spread tighten up above 235 into that 1, 2, 3 cent spread with buyers that are more than just these 100 lots and size coming onto the bid. I will admit this, and this is obviously true, that is something that comes with time. Like you see it enough, and you kind of like you know it without saying it, and it's just sort of like, to use a term. You know when someone says, "What is porn?" You know it when you see it. Well, you know it when you see it, but you are looking for size above the level. You are looking for actual fills, and I want a tight spread. When the spread opens up past a level, it means stops getting run, but the buyers aren't following it. So you don't want the spread opening up. You want that spread to catch up, tighten up with size buying, and then I want to look to be a joiner. Hey, look, it didn't work the first time here. I ended up losing on that trade, but it could still be, the buyers are coming back in, just not for any size here as we're going back to Adara. Good question.
Quite a few small tech biopharma companies on watch right now, including THAR on the NQ. This one's up almost 40%. Liver disease related company, and they've just released some phase 1 data for their treatment. We also have BDRX. This one's still running, up about 170% right now after agreeing to acquire an exclusive worldwide license for type 1 diabetes related treatment. So keep an eye on this one as well. Last but not least, Red Hill Biopharma up about 120% right now after receiving an FDA grant for a 5-year U.S. exclusivity with IP protection up to 2034 for one of their treatments. So keep an eye on all these names, guys.
Thank you very much, Adara. Keeping it
hot biotechs.
It's like there's a lot of hot biotechs.
Yeah.
We'll go back to Obi. Are you out of your short?
No, I kept on trying. I kept on trying. Kept on getting stopped out again. Something new problems. Got to work on how I can kind of vary the stop and be a little bit more patient before actually capturing the move, because the short does seem like it is kind of coming in again with the NQs and the ES just chopping around. Pretty much sideways on the overall, so I'm not really expecting a lot of these large caps to have strong continuation moves. So I'm just playing that reversion based off of them. But to kind of go back to that question, Neil, of how do you know when the buyers are coming in? This is how I know.
I like that. That's like a.
This is how the buyers come in, right there. You know, just the stack, kind of on the book, like you said.
They stack it.
They stack up. They're chasing.
Yeah.
They're chasing the move, and then how the sellers come in.
Who's the hate?
Pop.
Sharif, man. Sharif just hates on everything. This is the problem. See, this is the thing.
Come on.
And look, everyone here knows Sharif and I are just having fun when it comes to this. And B, like I'm a Bills fan. He's a Cowboys fan. And I feel like sometimes when you hit the fail on everything and you're hating on everybody, you're giving Cowboys fans a bad name. The people of Dallas are good people. They're good people. They just happen to support a team that I don't like. But you can't hit the fail for that. I like that. They're stacking it up, and it's true. Yeah. The other
a little bit of a chase maybe as well.
It's potential.
Right?
That's the other thing. You're chasing above that level, but there's at least buyers jumping in there.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. That's a great idea, Ram. I want you to hold on to that idea because that's fantastic.
What's the idea?
Sharif, don't worry about what Ramin just said in my ear. Just know that it's trouble for you, bro. I want to get to Amazon for a second for myself and for everybody here. So we just pulled back on Amazon. Come to my chart. I'm using my black chart because I didn't want to pull away from SoFi. Pre-market high, you had a consolidation breakout off this level, right? So I'm long in the 20s, down, down here off that open range. But if we hold on to the pre-market high and bounce here, that's a reload spot. If it fails this level, then suddenly you could set up a head and shoulders, but that's getting ahead of ourselves. But right now, I want to see this hold. If it can hold sideways off 14.5 and bounce from here, that would be a reload level for Amazon. There's SoFi finally going. It just got to 15s. You know me. If it gets to 15, I'm taking some out at 14 because it's obvious. The other level that I think we could have some trouble with is 735 to 740. It is the 200 period moving average, which I just realized is kind of hard to see because I have all these lines on the chart. Let me get rid of this one. We don't need that. Sometimes you just have to clean your charts up, so I'm going to remove that line for you. The channel, I'm not getting rid of this channel till it breaks on SoFi. I find when I draw a good channel, getting rid of it's just stupid. But there's that 735, the 200 period. The 50 period sits at 750. Those are two very obvious targets next. The quarter as well, we want to put some respect on. So SoFi is making a nice run. We like it. Should be good. Tony Price, a friend of mine got hurt really bad because his girlfriend wore a Dallas jersey to an Eagles game. You know what?
What?
That's one thing. Like I told the story back in the day when I had Bills season tickets with Sean. It was my ex at the time. Took my ex to like a Bills tennis. She was a Titans fan, and we went to that game. I was like, don't wear that Titans jersey. I mean, like, just understand, like, Bills fans are okay, but I just don't want to have to. If something happens, I don't want to have to deal with it, like, because you don't want to start a fight. She's like, I'm gonna wear. I'm like, just understand. People will say things in fun, but I'm not gonna start anything if somebody says something. People said things, but no one did anything. That's how it should be. Talk all the trash you want, have all the fun in the world what you want, but the second you're actually throwing down because somebody supports a certain team, like, you need to check your priorities. Yeah. Like, it doesn't. Maybe it's just sports, bro.
Exactly. You want to be involved, but you don't want to get too emotionally involved that it actually alters your state of human being. Let's say that.
That's ridiculous. And for the record, I've seen. Like Sean and I were at a game where we actually, Sean's the one that called security, but we had a discussion, and we called security on a Bills fan for something he did to a Patriots fan, and it's just one of those. I was like, when I saw what he did, I'm like, you can't do that, bro. Like, that's not cool. That's the story I would tell on the podcast, but I probably wouldn't tell here because it's not that friendly. But okay, so the longs are working. 16,000 is trying to bounce. Let's shout out to everybody that went long any retail name and powered it up, because you should have flawless victories. But we just bounced off 16,000 on the NASDAQ. It's kind of hard to see unless I go full screen. There you go. There's 16,000. You just bounced higher. The last entry for me was in was in SoFi at that 7, but I did get out of Shopify. So sometimes you got to go back and see, was it right? Okay, so yes, it was right. That was okay. But there's always a but, right? We just bounced 16,000, and I was waiting really tight to 73, and it bounced off 73.15. So I did just miss a potential reload on Shopify. Still like it off of VWAP, but you are getting a double top action here at 74. So I want to play into VWAP to 75 on Shopify. We'll keep the train rolling in the Shopify long, but it's just about finding a re-entry point. Shopify working, Amazon working. I mean, anybody can just pull up. A firm is ridiculous. That's insane. But MJP saying, come on, Walmart. Hey, man, I'm bet you this is probably at the highs, too, because everything's at the high.
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't matter what retail name you bought today. I mean, as long as you didn't buy Foot Locker, you're good. And I say that. I'm going to look at Foot Locker now.
Foot Locker was up there.
Nah, man, they're all low. Doesn't matter.
Mind, yeah.
Foot Locker, downgrade, companies probably, I have no idea how this model works in the future, just whatever. I wouldn't buy the stock long. I wouldn't buy it in the long term, but even this is up since the open. You just got to go with the trend. Look at the classic stair step to the upside. Technically, that's just a beautiful looking chart. Ain't nothing wrong with that. So everything is going up except for probably Apple still is my guess.
Sure.
Yeah.
Apple kind of pushing towards those lows. Again,
yeah, that's the right short. That's the right one.
Tried it a couple times there. Well, not really a couple times. Tried it initially in just 189 halves. and didn't really work there. Kind of pops right back in and then gets a little bit weaker, making a relatively lower high. We kind of talked about that pattern kind of happening, pre-market high, out the open high, and then in and around about 10:15-ish, that high as well, consecutively lower, kind of building into this 189. A little bit of a continuation short from last week on Friday. You guys saw we were short that 190, and this move is just a little bit of a continuation to the downside, potentially kind of coming into that 189. So that's kind of what I'm looking for there, and it happens to be working out for now. Let's see if Apple kind of breaks its opening range low here at that 188.90-ish area and makes new lows on the day. That's what I'll be looking for here. But Amazon staying quite strong on VWAP. I do have to kind of keep that in mind here as we are pushing past this 1030 mark, and that VWAP staying quite strong on Amazon.
Yes, sir. And yeah, that dip buy, that was a missed opportunity in Shopify. So I'd slap the fail on myself if I wasn't kind of thinking about what the next move is. The question I'm asking myself is do I want to break out? The answer, generally speaking, is no at this time of day. I strongly prefer taking a dip buy. I like breakouts usually clean off of the open or a little bit later in the session. So if we break 74, I'd look to join any kind of previous resistance turning into support above 74 or just buying the dip into VWAP. That'd be the other way we'd go. We're going to get to crypto in just a second. I just saw a note on TLT. TLT up, market should dump. Kind of the other way around. But I haven't looked at treasuries in a hot minute. I'll have a look in a second. But let's get to the desk. We've got the crypto update with Adair. Then TLT.
Update from Coinbase, where the CEO spoke to CNBC this morning, basically saying that the crypto industry can now, as he put it, turn a page after the Binance settlement from last week. So that's interesting. Coinbase up about 2.5% right now in a day where a lot of crypto stocks are down. Bitcoin itself actually down right now, as you can see in this red candle. On the day, we are seeing a bit of a decrease there after Bitcoin had a pretty strong Friday where we reached that above that 38,000 level for a bit. Right now, we're actually just below 37,000 on Bitcoin, down about 1.3%. Ethereum was above 2,100 on Friday. Now we're just above 2,000, down about 2.3%. The rest of the crypto market is generally heading to the downside. A lot of these currencies, including Solana, down about 4.5% right now, guys.
Thank you very much there, Adair. And look, TLT's up 1%. Like generally, some correlations don't always hold. I understand that. Like it's true. Like it means dollar going down doesn't necessarily mean that the market has to go up and all that good stuff. And just because you're getting TLT to the upside and that means sort of yields are coming down, the treasury's going up, doesn't necessarily mean the market has to go up or down. But generally speaking, it's like it is a positive correlation. Like TLT goes up, the market goes up, and it is at those highs. I'm looking up at the chart, but if I show it to you, I got a wick from Friday. I got a wick on it. It's kind of nasty, but if you see here, it is breaking out the top and continuing higher. So right now, everything is pointing to not yet to give up on the longs, right? Like that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. I've stayed mostly long. I've tried a few shorts, and actually it's not true. I tried 2 shorts, like in the Coinbase, and then at 30 on Affirm, which was a long at 27. So even then, like I had to go over 10% to the upside to want that short. The market is trying to get back to the breakout. You're still at the pre-market high levels. You bounce off 16,000, so you're trying to stair-step it to the upside. That means the longs are very much still in play for us here today. So that's Shopify. Still hasn't broken that 74 level. Amazon still cruising. I just took another leg out of SoFi. I'm going to show you why. SoFi, that kind of rhymed. It's not really that good. That was more okay than anything else. But we just got to 718. And then, okay, the size isn't on level 2 anymore. That kind of sucks. We got to 718. It was a nice little dip and rip back up to that level. You retested it. There was some size at 18 when it double tapped it. That's a pretty big candle up at that 18 level. So I got on the offer and took the fill at 17 when I saw that. Could end up being a big mistake, but sometimes that'll happen. Like I'll see size off a level which there was a move off of, and I want to get profit out in front of it. Rare Seed saying the 4-hour on NVIDIA looks juicy. Oh, you know what I love about that? That is a chart time frame that I don't really look at.
4 hour.
The 4 hour.
Huh.
I look at a 60. I'll jump to a 60 sometimes.
Yeah.
Usually that's when I'm looking at Bitcoin, but it's like daily, weekly, 15-minute, 3-minute charts for me.
I like the multi-hours. I dabble in the multi-hours every now and then. It's not too bad.
Just gotta find your own edge. Whatever, this is the thing. You should never trade something unless you have, like, when I say edge, it's like it could be your setup, it could be an indicator, it's just whatever it is. Like the thing that makes me want to trade stock and have a positive expectancy. That's your edge. And it could be something off an hourly, it could be, as you said, like you look at a 4-hour chart, who cares? Like as long as it's not like, oh, because I'm a Capricorn and the moon is here and blah, blah, just, I don't know, like just if it's that, then you probably have some issues. But yeah, as long as you find something with an edge, it doesn't matter what your time frame is, it doesn't matter what your indicator is.
Yeah.
There's plenty of ways to make money trading. And anybody that's, if you get too caught up in wanting to do it a certain way, then you're going to ignore the ways in which it actually works for you, right? So worry about what actually works for you and nothing else, and who cares. NVIDIA, however, this is a chop fest on the 3-minute, complete chop fest. I'm not trading this. Like I can see 480. Okay, that's good. Pre-market high, support at 480. That you can trade off of. But look at all the chop at 483. Just can't, like, there's clearly, like, once it gets to 42.5 or so, like, nobody wants to buy it anymore. And it's really choppy in here. So I suppose most people would think, oh, well, you could just short 83s when it pops above the half, put your stop at the high, and that could work. I'd rather not get wrapped up in that. Forget about that. I'm just going to stay away altogether from NVIDIA. Stick to what's working, and what's working today has been primarily the retail names. So the next trade, I'm looking for a potential breakout on SHOP with any kind of stair-step consolidation above 74. I want to join if I can for strength off the 74 level, or I'm waiting back in for VWAP to get back into this name. SoFi is trying to make that charge to 735. That's where the target is for me. I think this can get to 735. It hasn't presented a good dip buy that I've liked. So we're just in off the 7 level, and that's it. Breaks underneath 7, I'm out. Simple enough. But I'm looking for a place to reload this as well. Anurag, Capricorn is in itself an edge in trading with so much discipline. Oh, no crap. I just said Capricorn because I'm a Capricorn. I mean, like, Adair is a Capricorn too. That doesn't mean jack for trading. What it does mean is it just means it's cool to say. Capricorn 1 is a really fantastic movie. If you've never seen the movie Capricorn 1, A, I'm old, B, it's great. I'm just going to leave it at that.
I guess Sharif is asking how Liverpool did this weekend.
It doesn't matter.
I have no idea.
This is the thing, Sharif.
Is that like that's soccer, right? Or
It's soccer. It's football.
the other
it's
football,
footy.
yes.
The thing with Sharif is going to kick a man when he's down. Okay. Like the market's been very good. The market's been very, very good today, especially if you're retail long. However, obviously you know that deep down I'm not in a great mood over what happened. Like the Buffalo Bills basically ended their season last night with that loss. They need to win. They didn't win. They lost in overtime. It sucks. Okay, I get it. It sucks. However, this is the weirdest thing of all time because you just did that. When I was just saying Capricorn 1's a good movie, no word of a lie. Like O.J. Simpson's in that movie. Yeah, Capricorn 1. I don't want to spoil what it's about, but like O.J., he did some decent movies. He wasn't just in Naked Gun. Like he was actually pretty legit. People snicker in the back. The juice was on the loose in the movies. And what in that Roku is, wow. Congratulations. Wow. Roku is up 8% and continuing to fly. Now we're getting Josh Allen hate in the chat. Look, Marcus Hines, you are not a better quarterback than Josh Allen. What do you want the guy to do? He had a great game. He played a great game and they lost. You know, I can complain about the first half officiating. Yes, there was a holding call. Slay's gotten away with a few of them in the last few weeks. But at the end of the day, Eagles made plays. The Bills should have put that away in the first half. Let's be real. They should have put that away in the first half. But I'm not blaming it on Josh Allen. He did pretty much everything right in that game, and they still lost. What I can say is this: the coach of the Buffalo Bills. There's something called people have a winning mentality. When you play not to lose, it tends to bite you in the butt against a good team. And sometimes you gotta go for it. You gotta be a little bit more aggressive with your play calling on defense when you're playing against a good team. Because if you just sit back and let them, they're gonna take it from you if you let them. You've got to keep some pressure on. You got to be more aggressive going for it. All that good stuff. Anyways, it is what it is. The kicker, whatever, doesn't matter. Sometimes when it's in your own hands, you got to take advantage of it. But Roku's going, it looks like double digits today. There is one red candle on the 3-minute since about 9:50. I mean, I thought, like I was thinking, well, you join back in at 100. It does this little dip. Be patient, wait for VWAP. You wait for VWAP. VWAP's not coming today on this stock. Like I keep looking for, like on my 15-minute, like there isn't even a red candle. And unfortunately, when this happens, I just don't chase. So at this time, it's 10:48. I have to go all the way and rip out the daily chart. I'm not ripping it out. I'm just pulling out the daily chart. And then zoom that out. Like this is how crazy Roku's been today. And then zoom it out too far because thank you very much. And then if you go all the way back, the biggest level is 140. But then you peel back from that fail at 140. This is 110. So you got 110 is hard to see, and that's 106. So on the daily chart, 106 and 110. I'd look to fade those two levels if you even see them today on Roku. This is absolutely nonsense. I did not see that one coming. I'm sure there's a good reason why it's going, but today, if you sell things, you're making money today. As we go to Sector Watch with Adara. What was the story on this? Was there a story on Roku?
Pretty mixed week across here. With the notable exception of retail trade, we have Amazon up about 1.3% right now. Walmart also up. Costco amid Cyber Monday and after the Black Friday deal. So keep an eye on this entire sector. Also, Amazon is worth noting with regards to the transportation sector as well. Transportation down, Amazon up amid a Wall Street Journal report saying that Amazon's delivery volume has outpaced that of both UPS and FedEx. So keep an eye on all those sectors. We also have some weakness right now in energy minerals down, health technology pretty mixed to negative, and it's pretty neutral in both technology sectors, electronic tech and tech services, with the exception of NVIDIA up fairly significantly right now, guys, just under 1%. Keep an eye on these sectors as everything unfolds, but generally pretty weak if you're not a retail name.
That's an
that is 100% true.
There.
And someone said in the chat, like, is it a Canadian thing to correct yourself? And yes, it's a Canadian thing to correct ourselves. It's a Canadian thing to apologize a lot. That's how we roll. I don't know. I don't know where that comes from. It's just true. There's nothing wrong with it. But I'm saying that because I'm about to apologize for something. Sharif did send me the news on Roku when it first came up. He sent it to my he sent it to my personal, not the show chat. So that's on me. Cannonball Research with an upgrade to 116. I saw a few people put it in the chat, so thank you very much for correcting that. There is a reason it's up. It's an upgrade. It's also a high flyer. Everybody, if you've been trading, then you know that when Roku goes, it can really start to go, which is exactly what's happening here. But the next thing is going to be, oh, you're out of Apple.
Yes.
I was going to ask you about Amazon.
Reasons to buy.
But I want to see your, what's the story on Apple here?
What do you mean? Like, why did I get out? Well, one, the market is blasting to the upside. That's we kind of pushed that pop.
Fair.
That 189 comes in. I'm looking for that one, like the low of days right there at 188.90s, and we look a little bit kind of strong there with the market kind of pushing right back up. I have Softy kind of holding as well. Again, Amazon holding kind of sideways as well. So I actually switched long to kind of feel that pressure to see if it's actually there, and it's definitely a little bit there as that 189 holds, and I'm able to get off into the quarter above that 189, and we're pushing a little bit further now. But again, bigger picture, we have been making lower highs, so I'm going to be looking for a potential lower price to come in and maybe hit us with a bit of a stall, hit us with a bit of weakness there to continue this move back down to the downside. But this could be all she wrote right here, just hovering underneath the 89 halves. Right, so I think that was kind of my reasoning in and around some of these trades there. But again, Neil, my biggest priority as of late has been more focused on I guess losing less and keeping what I'm making. So it's pretty much my primary focus right now. So like, I don't really care whether or not like we're making winning or losing trades. A win for me in my books right now is that whether I'm able to manage that risk properly, whether I'm able to manage that trade right or wrong, and if I can get that down, get that discipline honed in, then I think I'll be you know, ready to move on to the next step.
Yeah, you make quality decisions. Like when you're trading, just make a good decision. Everything sort of flows from that, right? Like, so if you have a trading plan, just follow your plan. Like at first, it's like, okay, you have a reason for wanting to trade a stock, good. You have a reason to get long or an entry price, excellent. Did you get long? That's the first question. Well, you should have an out first. So the reason to trade stock, have an out. Once you define what that is, you can enter into the position. Do you adhere to your out? Do you take profit where you had reasons to? Then that's all you got to do. I wanted to show, was Hampton's trader, what did you say? There we go. Thoughts on overthinking trades.
Ooh.
Oh, was it JD you said? So, okay, Sharif just yelled, I'm going to get to that in a second about overthinking trades, because everybody does this. Everybody at some point you're going to overthink trades. It's just part of the game. There's so much information out there, it's going to happen to you. So HKD, this moved on Friday. Yes, it was, yeah, Friday, okay. I wasn't 100% sure because I don't trade the stock, but Friday, wow. Okay, so if you're an HKD trader, you should be, this is, I hate saying things are easy. Trading is not easy. However, this is a very, very simple setup. It is a breakout on an illiquid name that found support on the first dip at 470 and closed at 5. The first thing it did is reject 5 even underneath, hold the 470 level, and break back above 5. So the setup I like, which is the, break that 5 level, maybe get some shorts, caught, whatever it is, hold out here, break out there, long 5, 470 stop. I mean, technically this is like 470, yeah, it's actually 470 even. So you just put the stop at 470, you're long at 5 even, and then it does this. That's a very simplistic setup. Just remember HKD has gone further than this, and it hasn't happened recently. On the daily chart, $6 is a bit of a thing. And then $7 is a bit of a thing. And then $8 is a bit of a thing. Every even dollar level is a level on this. So overthinking a trade. I actually think I'm guilty of this all the time.
Oh.
And truthfully, a lot of what ends up happening is when you're especially looking at lower time frame charts, I find I'll get caught up in the minutia of seeing setups and entries that go against the big premise. If I find that I am overtrading a stock, the first thing I do is go back to my notes, but let's say you just didn't make notes, then go to the higher time frame. Like, what is it telling me? Okay, so retailers are strong today. I'm just talking about Amazon. Retailers are strong today. Amazon is breaking out on the daily chart above 148. Okay, so then I look at it on the 15-minute, which I also like. Okay, is it above these breakout levels underneath the 148 to this 147 resistance? Even with all that, it was still holding that breakout level. So I'm just, okay, I'm looking long. And that's it. Am I getting longs at work? Just wait for something to set up. 148 is the level I wanted to trade off of. It gave me those trades. I'm not back in it because it hasn't given me that. But suddenly VWAP looks pretty interesting. But I find the first thing I want to do is go back. What is the original thesis? Long on this breakout on the daily. Go back to that, and then what trade is setting up based on that? Longs off 148 are still there. Longs off the pre-market high, which is turned into support. Those are still available. I think the same thing with Shopify. Like I'm not in Shopify anymore, but a very similar story. Once it showed me that pre-market, breakout level, kind of held 71.50 there, broke back out, got that first long. Then it gives the longs above 73 in VWAP. Now I'm just thinking those in the stair step and the continuation. It'd be easy to overtrade it and start making things up around 74, but I just go back to the thesis. And the original thesis, this time of day is a good place to be. And then if you want to find simplistic trades at this time of day, that's a good thing to do. So like 7 even on Shopify. Maybe Lucid at 410. I don't know if Lucid's still about. You can't get that anymore. I would have said like Lucid at 410 would have been a good scalp trade to have. I just go back to the well for the obvious ideas and setups and know the ones that work for you. If this time of day, I know Sean likes this. I know I like it. I look back to VWAP. What stocks that I like that are trending in the right direction are giving me VWAP retracement plays for bounces? And if it's a weak stock, is it setting something up for a short? off of VWAP. Like that's the setup I like at this time. And if something is not one of those things, then I shouldn't be doing it. So you can always look for the things that work for you. Hector, I'm a new trader. What resources can help to find a personal edge? This is a couple of things. A, you're going to get some education in 13 minutes because Sharif, like Adara is a new trader, and this new midday that we do is literally about finding, not just finding edge, but learning how to trade, what to look at, all of that in a nutshell, because Adara is starting from square one and doing it live for you guys every single day. So stick around for that. You don't know when you start out, you don't know where your edge is going to be, right? So the first thing I always focus on is understand the market basics, right? Like what is a bid, what is an ask, what is buying, what is selling, understand your platform, how to buy, how to sell, all the tools that are available to you, control what you can control, and then start looking for edge. Start with something really simple. That's why I think you guys are talking about indicators today. So it's talking about indicators today. So you start basic charts, like what are charts, all that kind of stuff. Then when you get to indicators, the basic indicators, what are they telling you? And then from there, just put time into making trades and observing. That's it. And then you will find something if you put the hours in. That's just all it's about. You will find setups. Now, am I going to show you the setups that I like? Sure. Is Sean going to show you the setups he likes? Sure. Obi, Sharif, we're all going to do that. But those are the ones that work for us. It's about why do we like them and how do they work, and the thought process behind developing a trade. Because every single trade starts with why am I trading this stock? Why is this a key level? Where am I wrong and how am I getting out? How and where am I getting in, and where am I taking profits? There's probably a few steps that I'm missing in there, but I counted on my fingers and you just saw me count to 5. So let's just call them 5 steps to making a trade. There's probably a couple that off the top of my head I'm already missing, but it's already time for Money Talks with Adara, so let's go to the desk.
USD pretty flat right now. This is the DXY on the day. Yeah, we're pretty flat. We did get that lower than expected home sales numbers, so that was the big economic data we got today, but there is a lot to come later this week, including PCE on Wednesday. We are set, if we continue this drop, for the biggest monthly drop of the year, and this comes amid rate speculation, amid lots of Fed talk later this week, but definitely a PCE on watch for Wednesday, other Fed data and economic data on watch this week to impact the USD probably, guys.
Thank you very much, Derek. Just before we go back to you, Obi, bit of a pullback here on SoFi. So it's got my spider sense is up here. I'm looking for a place. I've already scalped most of this out, but I am looking for a place to reload. But this pullback might be giving us some opportunities for that.
Nice. Yeah, I think I definitely agree with what you were talking about with VWAP and indicators. I think I want to add to the point on indicators. There is just like we all use different kind of signals, different kind of indicators, but I would implore everybody to actually study the indicators, study the mathematical equations that go into those indicators. Like if it's on your chart, like you better know how it's calculated, when, like why, what was the purpose of the indicator when it was initially came out. All these indicators have like original authors and original creators that kind of came with the idea, and like what was their intention for using that indicator, right? I think those are all good points to keep in mind. Again, indicators not necessarily the sole reason why you should be taking trades, but I think they're good tools for trade management, regardless. So I guess that's my 2 cents on the indicators there. But yeah, a little bit of a sideways chop here. Apple coming right back in, kind of sideways. We got short, we got long. Again, kind of a sideways muted action there. So I'm going to stay a little bit more patient here before interacting more with that Apple. But that 189, that 188.90 low of day potentially coming in as well. So I'm more than interested in taking this short and continuing it back down to the downside, a little bit of a continuation potential from that heavy selling we've seen on Friday before the long weekend there. But here's another thing: we've been raging for the past few weeks, right, Neil? And going into these holidays, we've been having some strong green weeks to the upside. So I think a little bit of relief is warranted. Just let me show you guys what I'm talking about here. As I pull up Apple here on a weekly chart, you can see the past few weeks, we kind of talk about this. 1, 2, the second week actually breaking through a multi-time frame trend, and then strong action coming in, and then you kind of have a muted week as of last week. You can't really get past this 193 area. You can't really get past it, and all of a sudden you come in on a Monday and you can't really bid past that 190. So that 190, I think, going forward for this week is going to be a little bit of an over-under, I guess, reference price for me. Kind of going forward, we've seen that 190 has that selling from before, kind of when this I guess a flat bottom or this triangle, this consolidation range was building, we can see that heavy, strong sellers came in off that 196, and then once again off of this 190. So we did violate that 190 by about 2.5 points, almost 3, but we're coming right back into that 189. So a little bit of a healthy pullback, I think, is more than valid, even if we are going to continue this move back up to the 200 test. Again, I think I was talking to a couple traders there. That 200, one that rejected, I was like, oh boy, is that 175 coming in? And it gives you that 175 and pulls all the way back down to 165 before kind of coming right back in. So we are getting a little bit of a sideways action here, but that's kind of the reasoning behind why I'm looking for this 190 to stay weak. But if the 190 doesn't stay weak and we get back above and hold, more than willing to get long above that and throw that trade idea out the window there. But again, going to stay patient and look for that lower high potentially on Apple there. But the NQs kind of continuing to rip to the upside there, gradually, slowly making relatively newer highs compared to the price action we've been seeing this morning, kind of these pre-market highs at that 1620, and then you dip into 15,970s, kind of also a pre-market level there, holding as support. And then we rip right through pre-market highs using that as a base, kind of a continuation of pre-market action through that 16. But yeah, I don't really have too much else on the board as of right now. Just looking for these shorts to kind of come in. Softy looking relatively strong, but Google definitely one to watch for, as Google looking quite weak. Let's take a quick look here on the 15-minute chart. And I'll show you guys what I'm looking at here. So some levels from before apparently down here at the 133. Okay, nice. We saw that strong selling on Friday, and those sellers kind of coming right back in at these prices. That strength was very interesting, Neil, off the open. It's almost as if the sellers lifted and dropped right back in at those same prices. We're just like, oh boy, can we sell at those prices once again if we just lift the ask there?
So that was like the Sam Beckett, oh boy. I like to drop references that I know you won't get. Anybody?
So you get that like that confused kind of just like a stare for me?
Well, because you'll like the first thing went through your head is who is Sam Beckett?
Yes.
Right, you have no idea.
I was like, the first thing I was like, Sam Bankman-Fried?
No, do you know who, you ever seen the show Quantum Leap?
No.
They actually, apparently there's like some kind of remake of Quantum Leap. I loved that show back in the day. Well, okay, I like science fiction, so of course I love Quantum Leap. That was a great, great show. But he used to always say, oh, his catchphrase was like, oh boy.
Okay.
The premise of the show, and it's kind of a nonsensical premise. By the way, the position board's off. I'm still long SoFi at 703 and Amazon at 148.19. That's it. The only two positions on. We got 3 minutes and we're going to the midday. But so essentially, so this guy creates, for lack of a better term, it's kind of like this time machine thing. But when he leaps into the body of another person in the past. Okay. And then he can't leap. Each leap, he's the leap back home. the next one he wants to get back home. But he doesn't leap out of that body until he like rights some wrong or fixes something.
Oh, okay.
It's like whatever, some
He's
weird
there
thing.
for like a purpose. or
Yeah, so like he
something.
solves the purpose and then he leaps into like somebody else's body in another time frame. It gets kind of,
Pretty
it's
cool.
completely nonsensical, but it's a heck of a lot of fun.
It's kind
And-
of like Looper almost. You remember?
Oh, well,
But he's leaping through time, kind of, right?
there was a one with the kid from, Jerry O'Connell was in one with like sliders. It's more akin to sliders if you've seen that. Of course you haven't. Obi's young, I'm old. But like I love time, like I love those. The thing that's frustrating about it, obviously, is like it makes absolutely no sense that like how does like time know whether he's right or the wrong or not? Like what makes it a wrong or a right? But it's a fun show. You get to learn a lot because he leaps into like a time frame, but it's a real time frame with like real things happening. So you learn a little bit about history when you watch the show. Okay. SoFi, just for a quick second, we have 2 minutes until we get to 11. I'm seeing a big pullback. Okay, it's a decent pullback on a firm back into VWAP. I see you in the chat there talking about it, Dave. SoFi back into 7. Shopify back into VWAP. I'm just looking for a bounce first. Like yes, you're kind of leveling off here at 710, which I don't love. I'd prefer that be either tighter to VWAP or 7 even. But if it happens to be here, maybe that's the reload spot. So just giving it a chance as we are pulling back in. The market's still at the highs, but some of these retail names are pulling back a little bit. Another rejection of 149 on Amazon. I'll get there in a second. I still like a chance of 173 holding here on Shopify for a reload. I'm not there that I want to get back into this yet. And Amazon, this one's still holding the top end of the range. I've only been a buyer underneath and just above 148. But this 149, you're getting some lower highs, but it's still higher lows in the lower highs. So it's wedging. It's forming a bit of a wedge. So if we hold VWAP, I still want to be in this long. HPDS, before you go, can you take another look at Palantir? You know, I meant to, and then, yeah, this is just as good a setup as Shop or anything else. Like if you're looking dip buy into VWAP, so breaks out false bottom. I love, first of all, setups that I like, false bottom breaks, where you have liquidity bottom, then look for a long off of that. Whether the long is off this bottom or the long back off 19, Friday's low, or just the long when it breaks a pre-market high. But what you are doing now is that pre-market high is turning into support. All this has to do is hold on to VWAP or 1915, then you look for a long in here, but hasn't shown green yet. Look, join a long in here to 1940, scalp that, break out the top, and try to hold some. I like that setup. Hampton's Trader, I haven't talked about Intel because, was there a trade on Intel? Sure, there was a trade on Intel. But were there better trades on retail today? Absolutely, there were better trades on retail today. Intel with the classic wipe out the bottom through 43.50. I would have taken probably like 50 to 55 in here with a stop there. Would it have worked to 44? Yeah, sure. And now you're above 44. So stairs to the upside on Intel, stairs to the downside on ARM. And I know it's 11 o'clock, but I totally forgot to mention this. If not for retail, I probably would have lost at some point trying to long an ARM, because I've liked the long in this stock. It was a good breakout on Friday with a good continuation buy at 62. I'm almost certain I would have lost going long 62 in here somewhere. 60 even is where I would look for a dip, the next available dip on ARM. Going to go back to the 15-minute as to what happened on. It was Wednesday when it made the bigger move, and that breakout off 60 was pretty fantastic. It's been a great morning. Make sure you look. The market's trying to turn in here, so be careful buying these dips, especially in some of the retail names. You are going over to the midday. It is all about education. You're about to get one with the professor and Adair.
What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to Learn How to Trade, formerly known as the Midday Show. And that is your girl, Adara. I am Sharif. And we're going to wait for some people to migrate over from the other stream, because we're not going to just talk to ourselves. So
We could, but we won't.
Yeah, we can, but we won't. So we'll wait for some people to come in. Shout us out if you are in the chat early. I know that some people are having trouble getting migrated automatically from the morning stream into the afternoon stream. So we'll wait for some people to bamboozle in. There we go. Bears versus Bulls has made his way in. Awesome. Wait for some more people to come in here. What do I see? I see only 15 watching. That ain't going to cut